Hi, friends, welcome. The hidden world of your microbiome, there is a world inside you. It has no sunrise, no sunset, no mountains, no oceans that you can see, and yet it is alive with movement, quiet movement, gentle movement, a hidden rhythm that has been unfolding inside the human body for as long as human beings have existed. As you lie comfortably where you are tonight, perhaps beneath a soft blanket, with the room growing quieter around you, you can let your attention drift inward, past the skin, past the muscles, past the familiar shapes of the body, and toward a place that is usually invisible, a microscopic world, a world filled with bacteria, fungi, viruses, and other tiny organisms that live in and on the human body. Together, these communities are often called the microbiome. You cannot see most of them. You cannot hear them. You rarely notice them. But they are there, resting on the surface of your skin, living along the winding passages of your digestive system, moving through warm, sheltered environments where food, moisture, and chemical signals create an entire landscape of microscopic life. Tonight, we are going to take a slow journey into that hidden world, not as scientists rushing from one discovery to another, but as quiet travelers. We will move gently through the body, following the soft currents of digestion, visiting the enormous community within the gut, listening to the chemical conversations between microbes and their surroundings, and gradually discovering something remarkable. You are not simply a human being carrying a collection of microscopic passengers. You are an ecosystem, a living landscape, a place where countless forms of life interact with one another and with you. So for now, there is nowhere you need to go, nothing you need to solve, nothing you need to remember. Just breathe slowly and allow the world around you to become a little quieter. Imagine that you are becoming smaller, smaller than a grain of sand, smaller than a speck of dust. Smaller still, the familiar room begins to disappear. The walls become distant. The ceiling seems impossibly high, and your own body, which a moment ago felt ordinary and familiar, becomes an enormous landscape. The surface of your skin rises like a vast terrain beneath you. Tiny ridges and folds appear like hills. Sweat glands become hidden springs. Hair follicles look like narrow valleys. Everywhere you look, there are different conditions. Some places are dry, some are warm, some are oily, some are exposed to the outside world. Others are protected in folds and creases. And each environment can support different communities of microscopic organisms. This is one of the first quiet lessons of the microbiome. There is no single microbial world. There are many. The organisms living on your skin are not exactly the same as those living inside your mouth. The community in your mouth is different again from the community farther down the digestive tract. And even within the digestive system, the environment changes dramatically from one region to another. Temperature changes. Acidity changes. Oxygen levels change. Food becomes available, then disappears. Chemical signals rise and fall, and the inhabitants adapt to these changing conditions. It is almost like traveling across an entire continent, except the continent is inside you. Now let us drift toward the mouth, the entrance to the digestive journey. Imagine moving through the warm, moist landscape of the oral cavity. Here, microbes encounter saliva, food particles, minerals, and constantly changing conditions. Every bite you take changes the environment. A crisp apple brings one collection of molecules. A spoonful of rice brings another. A sip of water changes the surroundings again. And each meal becomes part of a long conversation between food, your own cells, and the organisms living there. Some microbes help break down substances. Others compete with neighboring organisms. Some attach themselves to surfaces. Others travel with saliva toward the deeper parts of the digestive system. There is no tiny committee meeting around a table, no little voices discussing their plans. And yet, communication is constantly taking place. Microorganisms release chemical compounds. They respond to nutrients. They sense changes around them. They interact with one another. And their activities can influence the environment in which they live. It is a kind of chemistry, a quiet language made from molecules. And tonight, you can simply imagine that language as a soft whisper moving through the body. From the mouth, our journey continues. Down the esophagus, a muscular passage that carries swallowed food toward the stomach. The movement here is rhythmic. A gentle series of muscular contractions pushes material downward. You do not need to think about it. Your body knows what to do. Even now, while you are resting, your digestive system continues its quiet work. And then we arrive at the stomach. The atmosphere changes. The stomach is a very different environment. It is acidic, strongly acidic. This harsh chemical landscape limits which microorganisms can thrive there. Many microbes that enter with food do not remain active for long. But some organisms are adapted to survive in this challenging environment. The stomach, then, is not an empty desert. It is more like a difficult mountain region, a place where only certain forms of life can persist. And beyond it lies a much larger world, the small intestine. Here, the story changes again. The acidity becomes less intense. Digestive juices mix with the material arriving from the stomach. Nutrients are broken down and absorbed. The walls of the intestine are lined with countless microscopic structures that greatly increase the surface area available for absorption. And through this long, winding passage, your body separates useful molecules from material it does not need. Proteins are broken into smaller components. Carbohydrates become simpler sugars. Fats are processed into forms that can be absorbed. Vitamins and minerals move through carefully controlled pathways. It is an extraordinary process. But even here, we have not yet reached the most densely populated part of our microbial journey. That lies farther ahead. The large intestine. Imagine entering a vast underground garden. The light has almost disappeared. The surroundings are warm and moist. There is a steady supply of material arriving from upstream. And everywhere around you, life. Not large life. Not dramatic life. Microscopic life. Bacteria adapted to an environment with very little oxygen. Different species living beside one another. Some consuming the leftovers of digestion. Some producing chemical compounds that other microbes can use. Others interacting with the intestinal environment in ways scientists are still working to understand. This is one of the most fascinating places in the human body. The large intestine is home to an enormous microbial community. And instead of thinking of it as a crowd, it may be more peaceful to imagine it as a forest. A forest with no trees. A forest made from cells. Some organisms grow quickly, some slowly. Some thrive on particular nutrients. Some depend on substances produced by their neighbors. Others compete for the same resources. And the entire community changes as conditions change. Your diet can influence which organisms have opportunities to thrive. The timing and composition of food can alter what nutrients become available. The environment inside the intestine can shift, and microbial populations can respond. Nothing remains completely still. The ecosystem is always adjusting. Now imagine yourself floating quietly above this microscopic forest. Below you, trillions of tiny organisms are carrying out their ordinary lives. They do not know that a human being is sleeping peacefully above them. They do not know about clocks. They do not know about tomorrow. They simply respond to the environment around them. Nutrients arrive. Chemistry changes. Neighbors grow. Others disappear. New generations appear. And through all of it, the body continues its own work. There is something deeply calming about this. Your body does not require your constant supervision. You do not need to consciously direct your heartbeat. You do not need to remind your lungs to breathe. You do not need to instruct your digestive system to move food along its winding path. And you certainly do not need to manage every microscopic organism within you. Life is already taking care of countless small processes. So tonight, you can let go of a few more things. Let the shoulders soften. Let the jaw relax. Let the hands become still. And allow your attention to drift with the quiet rhythm of the body. For a long time, people understood microorganisms mostly as causes of disease. That view was not entirely wrong. Some microorganisms can cause infections. Some can damage tissues. Some can make us seriously ill. But the microscopic world is far larger than the small collection of organisms that cause disease. Most microorganisms encountered by humans are not simply enemies waiting for an opportunity. Many live quietly with us. Some are harmless passengers. Some may benefit from us while causing little obvious effect. Others can provide useful functions within their environments. And many relationships are more complicated than the simple categories of friend and enemy. Science has gradually moved toward a richer picture. The human body is not a sterile machine. It is a living environment, and the organisms that inhabit it are part of that environment. Imagine now that we could look backward through time. Before modern medicine, before microscopes, before anyone knew what bacteria were, human beings still carried these microscopic communities. Ancient people ate food. They breathed air. They touched soil. They drank water. They lived among animals. They gathered plants. They traveled through forests and rivers. And their bodies hosted microbial communities just as ours do. The microbes were there long before anyone had a name for them. For thousands upon thousands of years, human beings lived in close contact with the natural microbial world. And every generation inherited part of its microbial environment from the world around it. From food, from water, from surroundings, from other people, from the countless surfaces of ordinary life. The modern human microbiome is therefore part of a much older story, a story that reaches backward through human history, and deeper still, into evolutionary time. Let us return to the present. You are lying in your room. Perhaps there is a fan turning slowly somewhere nearby. Perhaps the air is cool. Perhaps outside, the night is completely quiet. And inside you, the microscopic forest continues. It is easy to forget that the body is constantly changing. Cells are being replaced. Molecules are being transported. Food is being processed. Signals are being exchanged. Microbial communities are shifting. Yet somehow, through all this movement, you experience yourself as one continuous person. You wake in the morning and know that you are the same person who fell asleep the night before. The body is changing, but the sense of self remains. The microbiome adds another layer to this mystery, because the organisms living within and upon us are also changing. Their numbers fluctuate. Different species rise and fall. Their chemical activities respond to the environment. And still, the whole ecosystem can remain remarkably stable over time. Not perfectly stable, not frozen, but balanced enough to function. Like a forest after a gentle wind. The leaves move. Branches sway. A few leaves fall. Others remain. The forest is always changing, and yet it is still a forest. One of the most interesting parts of this hidden world is the way microbes process substances that our own digestive enzymes cannot completely handle. Consider dietary fiber. Some forms of fiber pass through the upper digestive system without being fully broken down. When they reach the large intestine, certain microbes can use them as food. In the process, they produce molecules known as short-chain fatty acids. Among these are acetate, propionate, and butyrate. These compounds are important subjects of microbiome research because they can interact with cells in the intestine and influence the local environment. Butyrate, for example, is an important energy source for many cells lining the colon. So a meal containing plant foods does more than nourish your own cells directly. Some of its components travel farther down the digestive tract, where they become resources for another part of the ecosystem. It is almost like leaving food at the edge of a forest and discovering that the forest has its own way of using it. This does not mean that every food has one simple effect. The microbiome is far too complicated for that. Two people can eat similar meals and still have different microbial communities. A food that supports one group of organisms may have a different effect in another person. Researchers continue to study how diet, genetics, age, environment, medication, and many other factors influence these communities. So when we speak about the microbiome, it is helpful to avoid simple promises. There is no single perfect microbiome. There is no universal list of foods that creates an identical microbial community in every person. Instead, there is an ecosystem, and ecosystems are shaped by many forces. Let us drift deeper now. Imagine the walls of the intestine stretching into the darkness. They are not smooth, empty tubes. They are living tissue. They contain specialized cells. They contain immune cells. They contain blood vessels. They contain nerves. And they exist at the boundary between the outside world and the interior of the body. That boundary is important, because everything you swallow enters the digestive tract before nutrients are absorbed into the body's internal environment. The intestine is therefore both a passageway and a gate. It must allow useful substances through, while helping protect the body from harmful ones. And all around this boundary, microorganisms are living their microscopic lives. The immune system is present too, quietly watching, learning, responding, maintaining a careful relationship with the environment. This is another remarkable part of the story. Your immune system does not simply attack everything foreign. If it did, life would become impossible. The body constantly encounters molecules and organisms that are not part of its own cells. Instead, the immune system has evolved ways to distinguish different kinds of signals and respond appropriately. The relationship between the microbiome and the immune system is an active area of scientific research. Microbial communities can influence immune development and activity. The immune system, in turn, helps shape which microbes can thrive. It is a relationship of continual interaction. Two systems, living side by side, learning from one another. Now let your imaginary journey become slower. There is no need to rush. Picture a single microbial cell. It is unimaginably small compared with you. A tiny living structure. It has no eyes, no ears, no hands, and yet it can sense aspects of its surroundings. It can respond to chemicals. It can obtain energy. It can reproduce. Its entire existence takes place at a scale so small that the ordinary human world becomes almost meaningless. To this tiny organism, a drop of fluid may be an ocean. A fold in tissue may be a valley. A small change in chemistry may be the equivalent of changing seasons. And you, the enormous human host, are the landscape. Your meals are weather. Your digestive chemistry is climate. Your immune system is part of the environment. Your movement through the world changes what enters this ecosystem. And every night, while you sleep, the microscopic world continues. Perhaps this is one reason the microbiome feels so mysterious. It reminds us that the human body has multiple scales of life. At the largest scale, you are a person lying quietly in bed. At a smaller scale, you are made of organs and tissues. Smaller still, cells are carrying out their work. Inside those cells, molecules move and react. And alongside all of this, a vast community of microorganisms lives within the spaces available to them. Each scale is real. Each scale interacts with the others. And none of them tells the whole story by itself. You can think about your body as a city. The organs are districts. Blood vessels are roads. Cells are individual buildings and workers. Chemical signals are messages. And the microbiome is another population living throughout certain parts of the city, not separate from the city, but woven into it. Now imagine that the city has gone quiet for the night. The streets are dark. The windows glow softly. Most people are asleep, but underground, water still flows. Electricity still moves. Maintenance crews continue their work. Small machines keep running. Nothing has truly stopped. Your body is much the same. Sleep does not mean the body has closed for the night. Quite the opposite. While conscious attention fades, many biological processes continue, and your microbiome remains part of that nighttime landscape. Some microbial populations follow patterns influenced by the daily cycle of their environment. The availability of food changes. Hormonal signals change. The intestine changes its activity, and the microbial ecosystem responds to the rhythms around it. Researchers have found links between the gut microbiome and circadian biology, although the exact relationships are complex and still being studied. So even the quiet hours of night may be part of the story. Outside, the world may be dark. Inside, the hidden world remains awake, not in the human sense, not thinking, not dreaming, but active. Chemical reactions continue. Cells repair themselves. Food residues are processed. Microorganisms grow and divide. Signals move through tissues, and gradually, the hours pass. You do not have to control any of it. You can simply rest. Imagine now that we are traveling even farther into the microscopic forest. The landscape becomes more crowded. Different shapes appear. Some bacteria are round. Some are shaped like rods. Some form chains. Some live individually. Others form communities attached to surfaces. Their diversity is astonishing. And scientists are still discovering new organisms and new functions within the human microbiome. Even the word microbiome can hide how complicated this world really is. It is not one thing. It is an entire collection of communities. And those communities differ between people. They differ between body sites. They change over time. They respond to circumstances. Your microbial landscape today is not exactly the same as it was when you were a child. And tomorrow, it will be slightly different again. That is not necessarily a problem. Change is part of biology. Life is dynamic. Perhaps you can feel the weight of your body against the bed now, the pillow beneath your head, the blanket resting gently across you. Maybe your breathing has become slower. There is no need to force it. Just allow it. In and out. In and out. As you breathe, remember that your body is not a single silent object. It is a living world, a world of blood and nerves, muscles and membranes, cells and molecules, and countless microscopic relationships. You are carrying an ecosystem through the night. And that ecosystem is quietly carrying on with its ancient work. Far below the level of conscious thought, the hidden world continues. A molecule is released. Another is absorbed. A bacterium divides. Another disappears. A nutrient arrives. A chemical signal changes. A cell responds. Then another. There is no applause. No audience, no dramatic ending, only the steady rhythm of life. And perhaps that is the most beautiful thing about it. So much of what keeps you alive happens without asking for your attention. Your heart beats, your lungs exchange gases, your kidneys filter, your liver processes, your digestive system moves, your immune system watches. And your microbial companions live out their tiny lives within this greater landscape. You can let all of it fade into the background now. The room around you is quiet. The night is deep. And somewhere within you, an entire hidden world is resting, changing, feeding, growing, communicating, and beginning again. For tonight, you do not need to understand every detail. You only need to imagine the scale of it. One human body, one sleeping person, one microscopic universe. And within that universe, a story that has been unfolding for millions of years. A story you carry with you wherever you go. A story that continues, quietly, peacefully, while you sleep. Imagine now that the microscopic forest has grown even deeper. The farther we travel into the hidden world of the intestine, the more connected everything begins to feel. A single molecule can become food for one organism. That organism can produce another molecule, and that molecule can become useful to something else. Nothing exists completely alone. This is one of the quiet principles of ecology, and it appears here too. Inside the human body, a tiny ecosystem can contain relationships that are surprisingly intricate. One microbe may consume a substance that another microbe produces. Several organisms may compete for the same nutrient. Others may occupy slightly different spaces, using different resources and leaving one another enough room to survive. There is no grand plan visible from above. And yet, over countless generations, these relationships have been shaped by evolution. The result is not perfection. It is something more interesting, a constantly changing balance. Let us imagine one small piece of food arriving in the large intestine. Perhaps it began as a plant. Sunlight once touched its leaves. Rain fell upon it. Roots drew minerals from the soil. The plant grew quietly beneath the open sky. Eventually, part of that plant became part of a meal. The meal entered your body. Your digestive system carefully processed it. And now, what remains has reached the microscopic forest. Here, certain microbes recognize opportunity. They begin breaking down compounds that your own digestive enzymes could not completely handle. As they do, they release other molecules. The forest changes around them. A resource disappears. Another appears. And another organism may now find something to eat. It is a chain of transformations. Food becoming molecules. Molecules becoming signals. Signals becoming changes in the environment. All happening at a scale too small for human senses. If you could hear this world, it would not sound like music. There would be no tiny footsteps, no voices. Instead, imagine an almost impossible softness. A continuous background of microscopic activity, chemical reactions, movement through fluids, cells dividing, molecules drifting, the gentle motion of an ecosystem that never truly sleeps. And while all of this happens, you remain still. Your breathing rises and falls. Your chest moves beneath the blanket. Your eyelids rest. The room grows darker, and the hidden world continues its quiet work. There is another fascinating part of this story. The microbiome does not live in isolation from the rest of the body. The gut is connected to the immune system. It is connected to the nervous system. It is connected to the endocrine system. And it communicates indirectly with distant parts of the body through chemical signals and metabolic products. Scientists sometimes describe these relationships using terms such as the gut-brain axis. The phrase sounds almost poetic. A pathway between the digestive system and the brain. A connection between a hidden microbial ecosystem and the organ that allows you to think, remember, imagine, and dream. The exact mechanisms are complicated. Researchers continue to investigate them. But the broad idea is fascinating. The body is filled with communication networks. Information does not travel only through obvious nerves. Chemical messengers move through tissues. Hormones travel through blood. Immune signals cross between cells. And microbial products can become part of this enormous biological conversation. Tonight, you do not need to follow every pathway. Just imagine the body as a vast network of quiet messages. Some are electrical, some are chemical, some are carried by cells, some are produced by microbes, and all around them, life continues. Perhaps this is why the human body feels almost like a universe when viewed closely enough. There are layers within layers, worlds inside worlds, systems interacting with systems. The deeper you look, the more there is to discover. Now let us drift toward another hidden community, the skin. You may think of your skin as a simple outer covering, but it is much more than that. It is a living boundary. It protects the body from the outside world. It helps regulate temperature. It senses touch. It responds to the environment. And across its surface lives a diverse community of microorganisms. The conditions are different here. There is sunlight in some places, dryness in others, warmth beneath clothing, moisture in folds, oil around certain glands. Every region creates its own little habitat. The microbial communities living on your forehead are not necessarily identical to those living on your hands. And the organisms living between your fingers encounter a different world from those living on your back. The human body is full of neighborhoods, each with its own climate, each with its own inhabitants. Imagine walking across the surface of your skin as though you were exploring a strange landscape at night. The landscape is enormous. A tiny crease becomes a canyon. A pore becomes a sheltered opening. A hair rises like a tall tree. Drops of moisture gather like small ponds. And between these structures, microscopic life moves through an environment that has been shaped by your body. You might never notice it, yet the community is there, quietly adapting, quietly responding, quietly changing. Now imagine returning once again to the gut. The scale becomes enormous. Compared with a single bacterium, the intestine is a vast world. And compared with the surface of the skin, it is an entirely different planet. The conditions are warmer. The supply of nutrients is different. Oxygen is limited in many regions. And the density of microbial life can become extraordinary. Some regions contain relatively simple communities. Others contain astonishing diversity. Different species occupy different ecological roles. And scientists are still learning what many of them actually do. This is important to remember. The microbiome is not a solved mystery. It is a field of active research. Every year, researchers discover new connections. New microbial species are identified. New molecules are studied. Old assumptions are questioned. The hidden world is still revealing itself. For decades, scientists could not easily study many microorganisms because they were difficult to grow in traditional laboratory conditions. Modern DNA sequencing changed the picture. Instead of needing to grow every organism separately, researchers can examine genetic material found within a community. This allows scientists to identify organisms that might otherwise remain invisible. Suddenly, the human body became an enormous biological library. A library filled with genetic information from countless microorganisms. The more researchers looked, the more complicated the picture became. What once seemed like a simple collection of bacteria turned out to be a complex ecosystem. And that ecosystem differed from person to person. Imagine opening an ancient library. There are shelves stretching farther than you can see. Some books are familiar. Others have strange titles. Some have been studied carefully. Others have never been opened. And somewhere among them are clues to how the microscopic world interacts with us. The library is still being cataloged. New shelves are being discovered. New languages are being translated. And every discovery changes the way we understand the whole collection. That is what microbiome science can feel like. A slow exploration of an invisible world. But there is something especially beautiful about the fact that this world is not somewhere distant. It is here, with you, tonight, while you rest. The microbiome is not an abstract concept. It is part of your physical existence. The organisms living in your gut have their own lives. They divide. They consume nutrients. They produce molecules. They interact with their surroundings. And then they disappear, replaced by new generations. Their lives may be short, but the community persists, generation after generation, like waves arriving on a shore. One wave disappears, another arrives. The ocean remains. Think about how strange that is. You are a single human being. You have one name, one face, one lifetime. But inside you are communities whose generations can turn over far more quickly. Their individual lives are brief compared with yours, and yet they become part of your biological environment. For a moment, let yourself simply wonder at that. You do not need to explain it. You do not need to memorize anything. Just imagine the enormous contrast. A human lifetime and a microscopic lifetime, sharing the same body. The night becomes quieter. Your breathing becomes slower. The muscles of your face relax. Your thoughts may begin to wander. That is perfectly fine. You do not need to follow every word. Let the story become background. Let the images become soft. You are simply floating through a hidden world. And now we move toward one of the most important ideas in microbiome science: resilience. An ecosystem can be disturbed. A forest can lose trees. A river can change course. A grassland can experience drought. And yet, sometimes, life reorganizes itself. The same principle can apply to microbial communities. Changes in diet, illness, medication, environment, and other factors can alter the composition of microbial populations. Some organisms may decrease, others may increase. The community may shift, and in some circumstances, it may gradually move toward another stable state. This does not mean every disturbance is harmless. Some changes can be serious, but biology often contains remarkable capacity for adaptation. Life is not always a fixed arrangement. It is a process. One of the strongest influences on the gut microbiome is what reaches the gut as food. Plant fibers can provide resources for certain microorganisms. Different carbohydrates support different microbial activities. Proteins and fats also influence the environment. The entire composition of a meal matters. And so does the pattern of eating over time. This is one reason scientists often think about diet as an ecological influence. Food is not only fuel for human cells, it is also a resource entering an ecosystem. Every meal changes the landscape, even if only temporarily. Imagine dinner arriving like gentle weather over a forest. Nutrients fall into the ecosystem. Some are absorbed quickly, others travel farther. Some disappear, some are transformed, and the forest responds. Then the meal is gone. The landscape settles again, until the next meal arrives. This cycle repeats throughout your life. Morning, afternoon, evening, night, again and again. There is something peaceful about realizing how much of life happens through repetition. You breathe, you eat, you sleep, your heart beats, your cells work, your microbes grow, the world turns, and another day begins. No single moment has to carry the whole story. Life continues through thousands of small processes. Now imagine the first humans walking across an ancient landscape. There are no supermarkets, no refrigerators, no packaged foods, no modern kitchens. They gather plants. They hunt. They collect roots. They encounter soil. They drink from natural sources. They live surrounded by animals and changing seasons. Their microbial exposure is different from ours. Their diets are different. Their environments are different. And their microbiomes reflect at least some of those differences. The microbial world has always been shaped by lifestyle. Humans and microbes have traveled together through history. When people moved, their microbial communities moved too. When diets changed, the ecosystem changed. When new environments were entered, new microorganisms were encountered. The human story and the microbial story have never been completely separate. And now, you are part of that same story. Not in a museum, not in an ancient settlement, but here, in the quiet darkness of your room. A modern human body, carrying an ancient biological relationship. Perhaps outside, the night air is moving gently. Perhaps rain is falling somewhere far away. Perhaps the streets are silent. Inside, your body continues. The hidden forest remains, and you can rest. There is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to control. Just breathe and drift deeper into the quiet world within you. And as the night grows deeper, let us stay for a while in this hidden forest. There is no need to hurry. The microscopic world is large enough to explore slowly. Imagine that you are drifting above the inner surface of the intestine, a soft darkness surrounding you. The walls are gently moving. Fluids pass quietly through the landscape. Nutrients appear and disappear. And beneath everything, the microbial community continues its ancient rhythm. One of the remarkable features of this ecosystem is its diversity. There are many kinds of bacteria. Some are specialists. Some are generalists. Some prefer particular nutrients. Others are comfortable with a wide range of conditions. Some organisms flourish when certain fibers are abundant. Others take advantage of molecules produced by neighboring microbes. In this way, the community becomes a network of relationships. Not a perfect network, not a peaceful world all the time. There is competition, there is cooperation, there is adaptation, there is change. And yet, together, these interactions create a functioning ecosystem. Just like a forest can contain trees that compete for sunlight while still forming a larger living community, microorganisms can compete for resources while remaining part of the same environment. Imagine two tiny organisms living close together. One encounters a molecule it can use. It breaks that molecule apart. During the process, it releases another compound. A neighboring organism uses that compound. The second organism produces something else. Another microbe benefits. The cycle continues. No organism needs to understand the entire system. Each simply responds to the world immediately around it. And somehow, through countless interactions, a larger pattern emerges. This is one of nature's quietest talents. Complexity can arise from simple actions repeated again and again. You can see something similar in a nighttime forest. A tree does not need to understand the entire forest. A bird does not need to know where every river flows. A mushroom does not need to understand the seasons. Each living thing responds to its surroundings. And together, their individual actions become an ecosystem. Inside you, the same principle appears at an extraordinary scale. The microbiome is not controlled by a single central command. There is no microscopic leader. There is no master plan. Instead, thousands of small interactions create a living community. Now let your attention drift toward the intestinal wall. Imagine the cells there as a vast shoreline. On one side, the microbial world. On the other, the internal environment of the body. Between them is a carefully maintained boundary. The intestinal lining must remain flexible enough to absorb useful substances, yet protective enough to keep unwanted material from entering freely. This boundary is constantly renewing itself. Cells are replaced, molecules move, signals arrive, immune cells patrol, and the microbial community lives nearby. It is a remarkable neighborhood, busy but quiet. The immune system is especially interesting here. It has learned to live in a world filled with microorganisms. If the immune system reacted aggressively to every harmless microbe, the intestine would become a battlefield. Instead, the relationship is more subtle. The immune system constantly monitors its surroundings. It responds when necessary. It tolerates many ordinary interactions. And the microbial community can influence the development and behavior of immune responses. Scientists are still uncovering the details. There are many questions remaining, but the basic picture is becoming clearer. The immune system and the microbiome are not strangers. They live beside one another, and their histories are deeply connected. Imagine now that you are floating through a quiet corridor of the intestine. You notice tiny cells along the wall. Some are absorbing nutrients. Some are producing protective substances. Some are communicating with neighboring cells. Others are part of the immune system. And nearby, the microbial forest continues. Everything is close together. Everything influences its surroundings. And yet, the whole system remains remarkably organized. This is the strange beauty of biology. Order does not always mean stillness. A healthy ecosystem is not frozen in place. It moves. It changes. It responds. It adapts. It repairs. And sometimes, it recovers. Think about what happens when the environment changes. A different meal arrives. The amount of fiber changes. The availability of certain nutrients changes. A medication alters the environment. An illness places new pressure on the system. Travel changes daily routines. Sleep patterns shift. Stress affects the body. Age brings gradual changes. All of these influences can reshape the microbial landscape. Some changes are temporary. Others can last longer. The ecosystem responds according to its own complicated history. Imagine a forest after a gentle storm. Some branches have fallen. A few plants have been damaged. The soil is wet. The air smells different. For a while, everything seems changed. But beneath the surface, roots remain. Seeds remain. Tiny organisms continue their work. Over time, the forest begins to reorganize. New growth appears. Some species return. Others become more common. The landscape slowly finds another balance. Microbial communities can also show forms of resilience. Not always, not perfectly, but often enough to make resilience an important subject of study. Now imagine the microbiome as a living memory. Not a memory in the human sense, but a record of the environments your body has experienced. Your early life, your foods, your surroundings, your habits, your medications, your changing body. All of these factors can leave influences on the microbial community. The microbiome is not a perfect diary, but it carries traces of history. A history written not in words, but in populations, genes, molecules, and ecological relationships. And perhaps that makes your body feel a little more mysterious, because you are not simply the person you see in a mirror. You are also the environment that exists beneath that familiar surface. You are a habitat, a landscape, a collection of interconnected systems. The human body is both an individual organism and a home for other forms of life. Now let us travel toward the mouth again. Here, the microbial world takes on another form. The mouth is constantly exposed to food and the outside environment. It is warm. It is moist. It contains many surfaces: teeth, tongue, gums, cheeks. Each provides a different place for microorganisms to live. Some organisms form communities on surfaces. They can become part of what scientists call biofilms. A biofilm is not simply a pile of individual microbes. It is a structured community. Cells can attach to surfaces. They can produce substances around themselves. They can interact with neighboring organisms. The community becomes a tiny living architecture. Imagine a microscopic city built on the surface of a tooth. You cannot see its streets. You cannot hear its activity. But at the microscopic level, structures are forming. Cells are attaching. Molecules are moving. Different organisms occupy different spaces. A thin, invisible world is developing on a surface that feels perfectly smooth to you. This is another reminder that scale changes everything. What appears smooth to a human finger may be an incredibly complex landscape under a microscope. What appears empty may be crowded with life. What appears still may be moving constantly. Now drift away from the mouth, past the throat, down into the digestive system again. The journey becomes darker, quieter, warmer, and eventually, we return to the large intestine. Here, fermentation becomes important. Certain microbes obtain energy by breaking down carbohydrates that reach them. Their activity produces metabolic products. Some of these products are used by other microbes. Some interact with human cells. Some influence the chemical conditions of the surrounding environment. It is a chain of transformations. Plant material enters. Microbes process it. New molecules appear. Human cells encounter those molecules. And the entire ecosystem changes slightly. Consider butyrate once more. Certain gut microbes can produce it when they ferment particular types of dietary fiber. Cells lining the colon can use butyrate as an energy source. That simple connection reveals something profound. A plant grows outside the human body. A person eats the plant. The human digestive system processes the meal. Some material reaches the large intestine. Microbes transform it. A microbial product appears. And finally, a human cell uses that product. A molecule has traveled through an entire ecological chain. Plant, person, microbe, human cell, all connected. You can let that chain drift through your imagination. A green leaf beneath sunlight. A meal on a quiet table. A journey through the digestive system. A microscopic forest. A molecule passing from one living system to another. And then, silence. The body resting. The night continuing. There is another part of the microbiome story that scientists are exploring. The relationship between microbes and the brain. The gut and brain communicate through several pathways. Nerves are involved. Hormones are involved. Immune signals are involved. Metabolic products are involved. The vagus nerve provides one important communication route between the gut and brain. But the relationship is not a simple telephone line. It is a network, a conversation with many channels. Scientists are studying how microbial activity might influence aspects of brain function, behavior, and mood. Some findings are intriguing, others remain uncertain, and many questions are still unanswered. So tonight, we do not need to turn this mystery into a simple story. We can leave some questions open. Science becomes more interesting when we allow room for discovery. Imagine the brain sleeping peacefully inside the skull. Billions of neurons are connected in an extraordinary network. While the conscious mind becomes quieter, the brain continues its nighttime work. Memory is processed. Signals are coordinated. Different patterns of neural activity move across the brain. And far below, the gut continues its own activity. Microbes continue their lives. Chemical signals continue moving. The two systems remain connected through the body's communication networks. Neither one exists alone. Perhaps your thoughts are becoming slower now. That is okay. You do not have to hold on to every idea. Let the words pass gently, like clouds moving across a dark sky. The microbiome, the intestine, the immune system, the brain, all of these can simply become distant images. You are resting, and your body is doing what it has always done. For millions of years, living systems have learned to coexist. Humans did not invent the microbiome. We inherited the relationship. Our ancestors carried microbial communities. Their ancestors carried them too. And long before human beings existed, microorganisms were already living, adapting, competing, cooperating, and changing across the planet. The microbial world is ancient, far older than cities, older than agriculture, older than mammals, older than dinosaurs, older than the forests we know today. And some of that ancient biological history is still present inside you. Imagine standing beneath an ancient night sky. There are no city lights, no roads, no buildings, only darkness and stars. The earth beneath your feet is alive. Soil contains microorganisms. Plants interact with microbes. Animals carry their own microbial communities. Water contains microscopic life. Everywhere, life exists at scales too small for human eyes. And now, return to your room. Return to your bed. Return to your breathing. You are part of that same living planet. And inside you, another ecosystem continues. The hidden world does not need to be frightening. It does not need to be mysterious in a dark way. It can simply be fascinating, a quiet reminder that life is everywhere, even where we once believed there was almost nothing. So tonight, as you slowly drift toward sleep, imagine that the boundaries of your body are becoming softer. You are still yourself, still safe, still resting, but now you can imagine the many layers of life within you. Cells, molecules, microbes, tissues, organs, systems, all moving together, all contributing to the great process of being alive. And somewhere in that hidden world, a tiny organism is beginning another generation. A cell divides. Two become four become more. Elsewhere, another population becomes smaller. A nutrient arrives. A chemical signal changes. A molecule is transformed. The ecosystem adjusts. And life continues. Quietly, without ceremony, without asking anyone to watch. You can let yourself become still now. The microbial forest is still there. The intestinal walls are still gently moving. The immune system is still watching. The brain is still resting. Your heart is still beating. Your lungs are still breathing. And all around you, the night remains calm. Breathe slowly and let the hidden world fade into the distance. In and out, in and out. You do not need to understand everything. You only need to rest. Because while you sleep, your body continues its ancient conversation with the microscopic world. A conversation that began long before you were born and will continue quietly through the night. As the hours pass, the hidden world inside you continues its quiet rhythm. There is something almost timeless about it. While human life moves according to clocks and calendars, microbial life follows different rhythms. A cell divides, a population grows, nutrients appear, resources become scarce, conditions change, and the community responds. No single moment is important by itself. The story is built from countless small moments, repeated over and over. Imagine once again that you are very small, so small that a single bacterial cell appears enormous. You float beside it in the warm darkness of the intestine. The cell has a thin boundary separating its interior from the world outside. Inside, thousands of molecular reactions are taking place. Energy is being captured. Proteins are being built. Genetic instructions are being copied. Waste products are being released. The cell is alive. Not alive in the way you are, but alive nonetheless. It has a history. It has a future. And for a brief time, it is part of your ecosystem. Now imagine another cell nearby. Perhaps they belong to different species. They may use different nutrients. They may produce different molecules. They may occupy different ecological roles. One may thrive where another cannot. Another may tolerate conditions that would stop its neighbor from growing. This diversity helps create a complicated microbial landscape. If one population becomes less abundant, another may expand. If food changes, the balance may shift. If the environment becomes more acidic or less acidic, different organisms may gain an advantage. The ecosystem is always adjusting. This is why the microbiome is better understood as a community than as a list. A list tells you what organisms are present. A community asks a deeper question. What are they doing? How do they interact? What resources do they use? What substances do they produce? How do they influence their surroundings? And how does the surrounding environment influence them? These questions have transformed the way scientists think about the human body. For a long time, biology often focused on individual organisms. One bacterium, one disease, one gene, one molecule. But ecosystems require another perspective. Relationships matter. Context matters. The environment matters. A microorganism that behaves one way in one environment may behave differently in another. Its surroundings shape its opportunities. Its neighbors shape its world. And the host, you, shape much of the environment in which it lives. Think of a small pond. The water temperature changes. Sunlight reaches the surface. Plants grow. Leaves fall into the water. Fish consume smaller organisms. Microbes break down organic material. Nutrients circulate. The pond is not simply water. It is a network of relationships. Now imagine that pond inside the human body. Except the landscape is microscopic. The same ecological principles can appear. Resources move. Organisms interact. Energy flows. Waste becomes material for another process. The ecosystem changes from moment to moment. Your body is therefore not merely a container. It is an environment. It provides warmth. It provides nutrients. It provides shelter. And in return, the microorganisms living there influence the chemistry of that environment. This is not a simple bargain. It is not always obvious who benefits and by how much. But the relationship is real, and it has been shaped by an immense amount of evolutionary time. Imagine the earliest ancestors of modern humans, long before cities, long before writing, long before agriculture, long before anyone knew that microorganisms existed. Their bodies were already home to microscopic communities. They could not see them. They could not name them. They could not study them. But the communities were there. Human beings lived their ordinary lives, walking across soil, eating plants, eating animals, drinking water, breathing air, touching other people, and exchanging microorganisms with the world around them. The microbial world traveled with them. When humans began living in larger settlements, their environments changed. When agriculture developed, food patterns changed. When animals became part of daily life, microbial exposure changed. When people began preserving foods, fermenting foods, cooking foods, storing foods, their microbial environments changed again. Human culture and microbial ecology have always been intertwined. The history of civilization is also, in a quiet way, a history of changing microbial relationships. And now, modern life has created another transformation. We live in environments with different diets, different sanitation, different medicines, different patterns of travel, different exposure to soil and animals, different daily routines. Our microbiomes exist within this modern environment. Researchers are studying what these changes mean. There are fascinating discoveries, but also many unanswered questions. It is important not to turn the microbiome into a simple story about modern life being good or bad. Biology rarely works that way. Different environments create different microbial communities. Some differences may matter greatly. Others may have little consequence. And scientists are still working to understand the distinction. So tonight, we will simply observe. We do not need to judge the hidden world. We can watch it, quietly, curiously, like standing at the edge of a forest after sunset, listening without disturbing anything. Imagine the microbial forest again. The darkness is soft. There is no horizon, only layers of microscopic life. Some organisms are attached to surfaces. Others drift through fluid. Some remain close to the intestinal wall. Others live farther away. Chemical gradients form invisible landscapes. A little more oxygen here, a little less there. Different nutrients in different places. Different temperatures. Different conditions. Everywhere you move, the environment changes slightly, and with it, the community changes. This is one reason scientists often describe the microbiome as highly individualized. There is no single microbial fingerprint shared perfectly by every person. Each person develops a somewhat different community. Your microbial landscape is influenced by many things: early life, diet, age, environment, geography, medication, lifestyle, and chance. Even people living in the same home can have differences. The microbiome is personal. but not completely fixed. It remains dynamic. Imagine two forests growing on opposite sides of a mountain. Both receive sunlight. Both receive rain. Both contain plants. Yet they are not identical. One side may be wetter. The other may be warmer. The soil may differ. Different animals may live there. Different plants may dominate. Both are forests, but each has its own character. Microbial communities can be thought of in a similar way. Now let us return to the idea of food. Imagine a simple bowl of oats. Warm, soft, quietly steaming in the morning. You eat it. Your body begins processing it. Some nutrients are absorbed relatively early. Other components continue traveling. Eventually, certain forms of dietary fiber reach the large intestine. There, microorganisms encounter them. For some microbes, this is an opportunity. They begin fermentation. The material is transformed. New compounds appear, and the ecosystem shifts. Now imagine a different meal. Perhaps it contains fewer fermentable fibers, more easily absorbed nutrients, a different mixture of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. The material reaching the lower intestine changes. The microbial community experiences a different environment. Some organisms may have more opportunity. Others may have less. Again, the forest responds. This is why diet can influence the microbiome. Not because food directly controls every species, but because food changes the resources available to the ecosystem. It is a gentle ecological principle. What you provide to an ecosystem influences what can thrive within it. Give a forest plenty of sunlight and water. Certain plants flourish. Change the conditions. Different plants may become more successful. Inside the intestine, the same basic logic appears at a microscopic scale. There is also an important distinction between microbes and their genes. A microorganism is a living cell. Its genome contains genetic instructions. A microbial community, therefore, carries an enormous amount of genetic information. The combined genetic material of the microbiome can provide many biochemical capabilities. Some of these capabilities overlap with those of other organisms. Some are different. This genetic diversity helps explain why the microbiome can perform such a wide variety of chemical transformations. Imagine a giant toolbox. One tool can break apart one kind of molecule. Another can build something new. Another can transport nutrients. Another can respond to environmental signals. The microbiome contains countless such biological capabilities. Not every person has exactly the same tools. Not every microbe has the same tools. But together, the community contains an enormous biochemical potential. And still, we should remember how much remains unknown. Scientists have identified many microbial species. They have mapped many genes. They have measured countless molecules. But identifying something is not the same as fully understanding it. Finding a microbial gene does not automatically reveal exactly what that organism does inside a human body. Finding an association does not prove that one thing caused another. This is why microbiome research continues to evolve. The hidden world is complicated enough to resist easy answers. Perhaps that is part of what makes it so beautiful. There are still mysteries inside you, even after centuries of medical discovery. Even after microscopes and DNA sequencing. Even after enormous scientific progress. The human body still contains worlds we do not completely understand. Let that thought become quiet now. You do not need to solve the mystery. You only need to rest beside it. The room is still. Your breathing is gentle. Your body is warm beneath the blanket. And somewhere deep inside, the microscopic forest continues. No lights, no clocks, no announcements, just life. A bacterium encounters a nutrient. It begins to use it. Another organism responds. A molecule is released. A cell absorbs it. A signal travels. The environment changes. And the community adjusts. Again and again and again. This is the hidden rhythm of your microbiome. Not one dramatic event, but countless tiny interactions. A world so small that the human eye cannot see it, yet large enough to influence the chemistry of the place you call home. Now let your imagination become even softer. The microbial forest begins to fade into darkness. The individual organisms disappear. The molecules become distant. The intestine becomes only a gentle idea. And beyond it, your whole body becomes quiet. Your heartbeat continues. Your breathing continues. The night continues. You can rest now. The hidden world does not need your attention. It will continue without you watching. Your body knows how to carry on. Your cells know their work. Your organs know their rhythms. And your microbial communities continue their ancient existence. Quietly, patiently, without asking anything from you. So breathe in, slowly, and breathe out, even more slowly. Let your shoulders sink. Let your hands become heavy. Let your face soften. Let the thoughts pass. And so the journey continues, deeper into the quiet architecture of the human body, beyond what the eye can see, beyond what ordinary thought usually notices. There is another layer of life, a layer made from tiny organisms, tiny molecules, and countless invisible interactions. Tonight, you are simply passing through. There is nowhere to arrive. No destination, only the slow movement of one hidden landscape into another. Imagine the large intestine once again. The environment is dark and warm. There is very little oxygen. The walls move gently around the passing material. And throughout this sheltered world, microorganisms are living according to their own ancient rhythms. Some are consuming carbohydrates. Some are using compounds produced by other microbes. Some are attaching to surfaces. Others drift through the contents of the intestine. Each occupies its own small place in the ecosystem. And together, they create something much larger than any individual cell. A community. If you could watch this community over many hours, you would see that it is never completely still. Some populations rise, others fall. Food arrives in waves. Different nutrients become available. The chemical environment changes, and the organisms respond. This is not chaos. It is dynamic balance, like the surface of a lake on a quiet night, always moving, but never moving in exactly the same way twice. One of the most fascinating ideas in ecology is that stability does not mean nothing changes. A stable forest changes every day. Leaves fall, seeds grow, animals move, rain comes, clouds pass, yet the forest remains a forest. The same can be true of microbial communities. Individual organisms appear and disappear. Their numbers shift. Their activities change. But the broader ecosystem can remain functional. This is sometimes called resilience, the ability of a system to absorb change and continue functioning. Now imagine a disturbance. Perhaps the food arriving in the intestines suddenly changes. Perhaps a medication alters the microbial environment. Perhaps illness changes the body's chemistry. The community responds. Some organisms may become less abundant. Others may find new opportunities. The old balance may shift. For a while, the ecosystem may look different. And then, gradually, new relationships may form. Some populations may return. Others may remain altered. The result is not always the same. Every ecosystem has its own history. This is why the microbiome cannot be reduced to a simple list of good bacteria and bad bacteria. Nature is rarely that simple. An organism may be helpful in one setting, neutral in another, and potentially harmful under different conditions. What matters is the environment, the surrounding community, the host, the available nutrients, the immune system, and countless other factors. Microbiology is therefore also ecology. Imagine standing beside a forest stream. You notice one plant growing beside the water. It would be tempting to ask, is this plant good or bad? But the question is incomplete. Good for what? Under which conditions? For which organism? In which season? The same idea applies to microorganisms. Context matters. Now let us travel through another part of the body. The nasal passages. Warm air enters. Tiny particles are trapped. Moist surfaces create another microbial habitat. The community here is different from the one in the intestine. The environment is different. The nutrients are different. The temperature is different. The exposure to the outside world is different. And so, different organisms find different opportunities. Your body is not one ecosystem. It is a collection of ecosystems, connected together. The skin, the mouth, the nose, the digestive tract. Each has its own microbial landscape. And within each landscape, there are smaller neighborhoods. Even the same body site can contain different communities in different locations. A fingertip is not the same as the scalp. The tongue is not the same as a tooth. The upper intestine is not the same as the colon. Everywhere, the environment shapes the inhabitants. Think about the surface of your hand. You touch a table, a door, a cup, a phone, another person. Every contact can move tiny amounts of microbial life from one surface to another. Most of this happens without your awareness. There is no dramatic exchange, just microscopic movement. One environment touching another. Human beings are constantly exchanging microorganisms with the world, and yet, we remain ourselves. This is another beautiful reminder that the boundaries between living systems are not perfectly isolated. You are connected to your environment. You breathe the air. You drink water. You eat plants and animals. You touch surfaces. You encounter microorganisms. Your body provides an environment for some of them, and your surroundings influence the microbial communities living with you. Life is connected through countless tiny pathways. Now imagine a single meal. Perhaps it is simple. Rice, vegetables, a little fruit, a glass of water. You eat quietly. The meal disappears from sight, but the journey has only begun. The food is broken down. Some nutrients are absorbed. Others continue onward. And eventually, the leftovers reach the microbial forest. There, A second digestive process begins, not carried out by your own cells, but by microorganisms living within you. They transform what remains. This is one of the most remarkable partnerships in the body. Your digestive system provides the environment. Microbes help process certain materials. Their activity changes the chemical landscape, and the products of that activity can interact with your cells. A meal, therefore, has more than one destination. Some of it becomes part of you directly. Some becomes nourishment for the microbial community, and some becomes material that the body eventually removes. A continuous cycle, from food to molecules to cells to waste and back into the world. Think about how ancient this cycle is. Long before supermarkets, long before farms, long before human beings, microorganisms were transforming organic material. They were breaking down molecules, recycling nutrients, changing soil, changing water, helping ecosystems continue. The human microbiome is one small expression of a much larger planetary story. Microbial life has always been part of Earth's cycles. Bacteria live in soil. They live in oceans. They live around plant roots. They live on animals. They live in fresh water. They live in extreme environments. And they live with us. They are among the oldest and most widespread forms of life on Earth. So when you imagine the microbiome, you are not imagining an isolated curiosity. You are looking at a small part of the enormous microbial world of our planet. Now let your imagination move outward, from the intestine to the body, from the body to the room, from the room to the city, from the city to the earth. Outside your window, trees release gases into the atmosphere. Soil organisms transform nutrients. Rivers carry minerals toward the sea. Oceans contain vast microbial communities. Everywhere, tiny organisms participate in the processes that keep ecosystems functioning. And inside you, a smaller version of this ecological complexity continues. You are part of the planet, and the planet is part of you. Not literally in every sense, but biologically, through food, air, water, and the countless organisms that surround human life. The boundaries between you and the world are real, but they are also permeable. You are constantly exchanging matter with your environment. Every breath brings molecules inward. Every breath sends molecules outward. Every meal brings material into the body. Every day, the body releases material back into the world. Life is a continuous exchange. Perhaps now you can imagine yourself floating gently above the microbial forest again. The darkness is peaceful. There is no need to be afraid of the unknown. The unknown can simply be beautiful. A tiny organism moves through the environment. Another remains still. A molecule drifts past. A cell absorbs it. The community changes slightly, then settles again. And while you watch, your breathing becomes slower. Your body becomes heavier. The pillow supports your head. The blanket rests gently against you. The muscles around your eyes soften. Your thoughts may begin to lose their sharp edges. That is perfectly fine. Let them. You do not need to follow every sentence. The story can simply become a quiet sound in the background. Somewhere inside you, the microbial world continues. Some microbes are using nutrients. Others are producing compounds. Some are dividing. Others are disappearing. The community is changing. But life continues. It does not require your attention. It does not need your permission. It simply unfolds. And perhaps that is one of the deepest lessons hidden inside the microbiome. Life does not always need to be noticed to be meaningful. Most of the important processes in your body happen beyond conscious awareness. You do not watch your cells repair their membranes. You do not supervise every heartbeat. You do not count every breath. You do not direct every immune response. And you do not manage the countless microbial interactions taking place within you. The body is capable of extraordinary quiet work. So tonight, let yourself trust that quietness. Not because everything is perfect, not because every biological process is understood, but because life has been carrying out these processes for an extraordinarily long time. Generation after generation, cell after cell, molecule after molecule, life continues. Imagine now that the hidden forest is becoming dimmer. The individual bacteria disappear into the darkness. The molecules become distant points of light. The intestinal walls become a soft outline. Then even that outline fades. You are simply resting, breathing, listening, drifting. Outside, the night continues its slow journey. The stars move across the sky. The earth turns beneath them. Somewhere, people are sleeping. Somewhere, animals are resting. Somewhere, plants are quietly exchanging gases with the atmosphere. And inside you, the microscopic world continues its own ancient rhythm. Nothing needs to happen right now. You do not need to learn anything else. You do not need to remember where the story is going. There is no test at the end. Just rest. Breathe in and slowly breathe out. Again, in and out. Let the body become heavier. Let the mind become quieter. Let the hidden world remain hidden. As the night settles even more deeply, let us continue our quiet journey through the hidden world within you. There are places in the human body that seem almost ordinary from the outside. Yet beneath the surface, they contain entire communities of life. Tonight, we will slow down and explore another part of that hidden landscape. A place where tiny organisms meet the body's defenses, where food becomes chemistry, and where the boundary between one living system and another becomes surprisingly delicate. Imagine yourself floating gently inside the large intestine. The darkness around you is warm and calm. Nothing here looks familiar. There are no roads, no buildings, no trees. Instead, there are flowing currents of fluid, soft folds of tissue, and countless microscopic organisms moving through their own invisible world. Some are attached to surfaces. Some drift freely. Others live close together in dense communities. Each tiny organism is surrounded by molecules, nutrients, water, signals, waste products, and chemical compounds produced by its neighbors. The entire environment is alive with chemistry. A bacterium does not see the intestine as you see it. There is no large organ, no human body, no distant room where someone is sleeping. There is only the immediate environment. A molecule nearby, a change in temperature, a change in acidity, a new source of food, a chemical signal. Its world is extremely small, and yet, that tiny world is connected to yours. This is one of the strangest ideas in microbiology. A microorganism can be almost unimaginably small. and still participate in processes that influence an ecosystem large enough to affect the entire body. The organism itself is tiny. Its environment is enormous by comparison, and its effects may travel beyond the microscopic neighborhood where it lives. Imagine one microbial cell taking in a nutrient. Inside the cell, molecular reactions begin. The nutrient is transformed. Energy is captured. Other compounds are created. One of those compounds leaves the cell. It drifts into the surrounding environment. A nearby organism encounters it. Perhaps that organism can use it. Perhaps another transformation begins. The process continues. One small reaction after another. This is metabolism. And when millions of microorganisms are carrying out their own metabolic processes at the same time, the chemistry of an entire ecosystem begins to change. The human body is constantly receiving the results of these microscopic activities. Some microbial products remain inside the gut. Some interact with intestinal cells. Some may enter circulation. Others are eventually removed from the body. The microbiome therefore participates in a continuous exchange of molecules. Food enters. Microbes transform it. Human cells encounter the products. And eventually, material leaves the body. It is a long chain. Quiet. Continuous. Ancient. Now imagine following one molecule. It begins outside you. Perhaps it was part of a plant. The plant captured energy from sunlight. Carbon dioxide from the atmosphere became part of its tissues. Water moved through its roots and leaves. Minerals entered from the soil. The plant grew. Later, you ate part of it. Your digestive system began processing it. And eventually, a fragment of that original material reached the microbial community. A microorganism transformed it. A new molecule appeared. And now, that molecule became part of the chemistry of your own body. One molecule, a journey across several forms of life. It is almost like following a traveler through different countries. First, a forest, then a kitchen, then a digestive tract, then a microscopic ecosystem, then a human cell. The traveler changes along the way, but the journey continues. This is the quiet interconnectedness of biology. Nothing exists completely alone. Even the simplest meal connects you to plants, to soil, to sunlight, to microorganisms, to the atmosphere, and to the ancient chemistry of Earth. Now let us move toward the intestinal wall. Here, another story is unfolding. The body needs to know what is happening inside the digestive tract. It cannot simply ignore everything there. So the immune system maintains a presence. Immune cells are positioned throughout the intestinal environment. They monitor signals. They respond to threats. They communicate with surrounding tissues. And they interact with the microbial world. This relationship is complicated. The immune system must protect the body, but it must also coexist with enormous numbers of microorganisms. That requires balance. Imagine a quiet border between two countries. There is movement on both sides. People travel. Goods are exchanged. Messages are sent. But the border remains carefully watched. The intestinal lining is somewhat like that. The body allows useful substances to cross into its internal environment, while maintaining protective barriers. The microbiome lives close to this boundary, and the immune system is constantly aware of what is happening nearby. Scientists have discovered that microorganisms can influence immune development and activity. At the same time, immune responses help shape the microbial community. This creates a two-way relationship. The microbiome influences the environment. The environment influences the microbiome. The immune system influences microbes. Microbes influence immune signals. And the entire system changes over time. Nothing is completely separate. That is the recurring theme. A molecule affects a cell. A cell affects a tissue. A tissue affects an organ. An organ influences an ecosystem. The ecosystem produces molecules. Those molecules return to the body, and the circle continues. Now imagine the intestinal lining at night. The body is resting, but the cells are still alive. Some are being replaced. Others are absorbing nutrients. Some are releasing protective substances. Others are communicating with neighboring cells. The immune system continues its quiet surveillance. And nearby, the microbial community continues its own activities. There is no complete shutdown. Even during sleep, the living systems within you remain active. Perhaps this is comforting. You do not have to stay awake to keep your body functioning. You can close your eyes. You can stop thinking. You can allow the world to become distant. And still, your body continues. Your heart beats. Your lungs breathe. Your cells work. Your digestive system continues its slow processes. Your microbial communities continue living within their environments. You are allowed to rest. Now imagine traveling deeper into the microbial forest. You begin noticing something remarkable. The organisms are not distributed randomly. Certain species tend to be more common in certain environments. Some prefer particular nutrients. Some prefer specific chemical conditions. Others depend on compounds made by their neighbors. This creates invisible ecological neighborhoods. One region may contain a different community from another, even within the same intestine. The microbial landscape can change from place to place. Think of a forest again. Near the river, you might find plants that love water. On the dry hillside, different plants appear. Under thick shade, another group thrives. In open sunlight, something else grows. The landscape determines what is possible. Inside the gut, chemical conditions play a similar role. Where nutrients are available, certain microbes flourish. Where oxygen is scarce, others have an advantage. Where particular compounds are present, specialized organisms may appear. The environment shapes the community, and the community shapes the environment. This is an important ecological feedback. Microorganisms do not simply live in an environment. They modify it. They consume nutrients. They produce acids. They release metabolites. They change the availability of certain molecules. In doing so, they help create the conditions in which other organisms live. The forest builds part of its own environment. Imagine a group of tiny organisms producing molecules that lower the local pH. The environment becomes slightly more acidic. Some organisms may struggle. Others may thrive. The community changes. Then those new organisms produce different compounds. The environment shifts again. This happens continuously. The ecosystem is always responding to itself. Now let the scene become softer. The details begin to blur. You do not need to picture every molecule. Just imagine a dark, peaceful forest, alive with countless tiny processes. The forest does not need you to understand it. It simply exists. Your own thoughts can be like that too. You do not have to control every thought tonight. Let one thought appear, then let it drift away. Another may come. Let it pass. There is no need to follow it. Just as the microbial world continues without conscious direction, your mind can become quieter without forcing it. Imagine now that the intestine becomes a long underground river. The walls curve gently around you. Tiny particles drift with the current. Microorganisms move with them. Some attach themselves to surfaces. Others remain suspended. The environment changes slowly as the river moves. And somewhere far ahead, the journey continues toward the end of the digestive system. Eventually, the material will leave the body. The ecosystem will return nutrients and microorganisms to the outside world. The cycle will continue. Because the microbiome is not a closed universe. It is constantly exchanging organisms and molecules with the environment. Some microbes enter through food, some through contact with surfaces. Some are passed between people. Others are already established within the body. And over time, some disappear. New ones arrive. Communities shift. Life moves. This is another reason the microbiome can be fascinating to study. It is not simply something you receive once. It is a living community that develops throughout life. Your earliest microbial exposures begin shaping a community. Then years of eating, living, traveling, growing, changing, and aging continue to influence it. The microbiome has a history, and that history is different for every person. Imagine two people standing beneath the same night sky. They eat the same dinner. They sleep in similar rooms. They may even share the same home. And still, their microbial communities can differ. Not completely different, not unrelated, but distinct, like two forests growing in similar climates. Both contain familiar kinds of life, yet each has its own balance. There is something deeply personal about that. Your microbiome is part of your biological identity, not in the sense that it defines who you are, but in the sense that the microscopic community living with you has developed through your own history. Your environment, your habits, your diet, your experiences, your body, your age, your genetics, all contribute to the landscape. And yet, you are not trapped by your current microbial community. It changes. That is part of its nature. A different diet can alter available nutrients. Changes in routine can affect the environment. Illness can disturb the community. Medication can have powerful effects. Time itself changes the body. The microbiome responds. This does not mean every change is good or bad. It simply means the ecosystem is alive, and living systems change. Now imagine watching the microbiome over an entire lifetime. A child begins with one microbial landscape. Years pass. The diet changes. The body grows. The environment changes. The microbial community matures. Adulthood arrives. New foods, new places, new experiences. Later, the body changes again. The microbial ecosystem changes with it. Decades pass, and throughout the entire journey, tiny organisms have been living alongside you. You may never have noticed them. You may never have thought about them, but they have been there. Quiet companions, not friends in the human sense, not servants, not passengers, but living members of the ecosystem that makes your body their home. Now the room around you is probably quieter. Maybe the lights are off. Maybe only a little light enters through a window. Perhaps you can hear a fan. Perhaps there is distant traffic. Perhaps there is nothing but silence. And inside, the hidden world continues. You can let yourself drift now. There is nothing else you need to do. Let the words become slower. Let your breathing find its own rhythm. Let your body become heavy against the bed. The microbiome continues. The intestine moves gently. The immune system watches. Cells exchange signals. Microorganisms transform nutrients. Molecules drift. Life continues. And now, as the night grows quieter, let us wander into another hidden layer of the microbiome. A place where tiny organisms do more than simply live. They transform their surroundings. They build communities. They exchange chemical signals. And sometimes, they leave behind molecules that travel far beyond the place where they were created. Imagine a single molecule moving through the warm environment of the intestine. It begins as part of something you ate, perhaps a piece of fruit, a grain, a vegetable, something that grew beneath sunlight long before it entered your body. Your digestive enzymes have already done their work. Much of the food has been absorbed, but some material remains. And now, the microbial community begins its part of the journey. A bacterium encounters the molecule. It takes it inside. Inside, its internal chemistry begins to change the substance. One molecule becomes another, then another, and eventually, a new compound enters the surrounding environment. This is the quiet chemistry of the microbiome. The human body contains millions of chemical reactions every second. Most are invisible. Most never reach conscious awareness. And microbial metabolism adds another enormous layer to this chemistry. Microorganisms can transform compounds that human cells cannot easily process. They can produce molecules that interact with neighboring microbes. Some microbial products can interact with intestinal cells. Others may enter circulation. The result is a continuous exchange between microbial chemistry and human biology. Imagine this exchange as a slow river. Food enters at one end. Molecules are transformed along the way. Some are absorbed. Some are modified. Some are carried farther. Eventually, the material leaves the body. The river never stops completely. It simply changes with every meal, every day, every season of life. This helps explain why scientists are so interested in microbial metabolites. The organisms themselves are tiny, but the molecules they produce can become part of the larger biological environment. A microscopic cell can create a molecule, and that molecule can become part of a much larger story. Now imagine the intestinal wall again. The cells lining it are living at a boundary. On one side, the contents of the digestive tract. On the other, the internal tissues of the body. Between these worlds, the intestinal barrier creates a carefully controlled interface. Nutrients need to cross. Water needs to move. Signals need to be exchanged. But the body also needs protection. The barrier is therefore active, flexible, and constantly maintained. Nearby, immune cells wait. They do not simply attack everything they encounter. Instead, they monitor. They recognize patterns. They respond to certain signals. They communicate with other immune cells, and they interact with the tissues around them. The microbiome exists within this environment. So microbial life and immune biology, are constantly meeting. Imagine a quiet watchtower overlooking a vast valley. The guards are not rushing around. They are simply observing. Most of the time, nothing dramatic happens. The landscape continues normally. But if something unusual appears, the response can change. In the same way, much of immune surveillance is quiet. The system is watching, even when you are unaware of it. This quiet relationship between microbes and immunity is one of the most fascinating parts of the microbiome story. Microorganisms can influence immune signaling. The immune system can influence which organisms thrive. The intestinal environment influences both, and all three are connected. Microbes, tissues, immune cells, a continuous conversation. Now imagine moving farther along the intestine. The landscape changes again. The nutrients available become different. The chemical conditions shift. Some molecules have already been absorbed. Others remain, and the microbial community changes with the environment. This is why the microbiome is not uniform from beginning to end. Different regions of the digestive system support different microbial communities. The mouth has one environment. The stomach has another. The small intestine has another. The colon has another. Each creates its own conditions. Think of a long river flowing through several landscapes. At the mountain source, the water is cold and clear. Farther downstream, the temperature changes. Plants grow along the banks. More nutrients enter. The ecosystem becomes richer. Further still, the river widens. Different animals appear. Different plants dominate. It is still the same river, but the environment has changed. The digestive system works in a similar ecological way. One continuous journey, many different habitats. And the farther we travel, the more the microbial population can increase. The large intestine becomes one of the most densely populated microbial environments in the human body. Here, the forest becomes enormous. Not enormous by human standards, but enormous at the microscopic scale. Countless organisms live close together. They compete. They cooperate. They transform nutrients. They exchange chemical products. And they form communities within communities. Imagine looking down from above. You would see no individual bacterium clearly. Instead, you would see patterns, clusters, layers, gradients, different regions of activity. A microscopic landscape filled with movement. It might almost resemble a city seen from high above at night. Individual people are invisible, but the city glows with activity. Roads remain busy. Buildings remain occupied. Signals move. Life continues. The microbiome is similar, only unimaginably smaller. Now let us think about communication. Microbes do not have brains. They do not speak, yet they can respond to chemical information. Some microorganisms release signaling molecules. These can affect neighboring cells. Microbial communities can therefore coordinate certain behaviors. One of the best-known examples is quorum sensing. In this process, microorganisms can produce and detect chemical signals whose concentration changes with population density. When enough signal accumulates, certain genes can become more active. It is a fascinating form of microbial communication. Imagine thousands of tiny organisms living together. Each releases a small amount of a chemical signal. One signal means almost nothing. Another signal means almost nothing. But as more organisms release it, the concentration rises. Eventually, the community can respond. No individual organism needs to know how many neighbors exist. The chemical environment carries the information. This is a beautiful example of how intelligence can emerge without a brain. Not human intelligence, not conscious thought, but coordinated biological behavior. Simple organisms responding to simple signals, creating patterns at the level of a community. And this brings us back to a larger idea. Nature does not always require a central controller. A flock of birds can move as one without a leader directing every turn. Fish can form schools. Ant colonies can build complex structures. Cells can organize into tissues. And microbial communities can coordinate behavior through chemical interactions. Simple rules, repeated across many individuals, can create complex outcomes. Now allow the image to soften. The microbial city becomes distant. The signals become tiny points of light. The molecules drift like faint stars. And you are simply floating above it all. No need to understand every detail. Just observe. There is something peaceful about imagining that your body contains so many processes that do not require conscious attention. Your body is constantly solving small biological problems. How to maintain temperature, how to balance water, how to move nutrients, how to repair tissues, how to respond to changing conditions, how to interact with microorganisms. All of this happens while you think about ordinary things and while you sleep. The body is an extraordinary example of distributed activity. No single part controls everything. Instead, many systems interact. The heart has its own rhythm. The lungs exchange gases. The kidneys regulate the internal environment. The liver processes countless molecules. The immune system monitors tissues. The nervous system carries information. The digestive system processes food. And the microbiome adds another layer of biological activity. Imagine all of these systems as instruments in a very quiet orchestra. There is no dramatic music, no sudden crescendo, just a continuous background harmony. The heart, the lungs, the nerves, the cells, the microbes, each performing its own role, and together, creating the experience of being alive. Now let us return to the microbial forest. Imagine one small organism reaching the end of its life. Its cell breaks apart. Its molecules return to the environment. Other microorganisms encounter those molecules. They use some of them, transform others, and eventually, the material becomes part of another living process. This is recycling at the microscopic scale. Life becomes material for life. The same principle exists everywhere on Earth. A fallen leaf becomes food for microorganisms. Microbes transform it. Nutrients return to the soil. Plants use those nutrients. Animals eat the plants. And the cycle continues. Inside the human body, a similar miniature cycle takes place. Material is transformed again and again. Nothing remains completely unchanged. Imagine the Earth itself as one enormous ecosystem. Oceans, forests, deserts, rivers, soils, animals, plants, microorganisms, everything connected through cycles of matter and energy. Now imagine zooming in, past a continent, past a city, past a person, past an organ, past a cell, until you reach a single microorganism, and then zoom back out, from the microbe, to the gut, to the human body. to the planet. Different scales. One connected story. Perhaps this is why the microbiome feels so profound. It changes the way we think about individuality. You are an individual organism, but you are also part of a larger ecosystem. And the ecosystem exists within another ecosystem. The human body exists within the environment. The environment exists within the planet. And the planet is part of a much larger cosmic system. Layers upon layers. Worlds within worlds. Tonight, you can let that thought carry you towards sleep. You do not need to hold on to it tightly. Let it drift, just as molecules drift through the microscopic world. Let your thoughts drift through the quiet night. Maybe your breathing has become slower. Maybe your body feels heavier. Perhaps your mind is beginning to wander. That is perfectly natural. You can allow it. The hidden world is still there. The microbial forest continues its slow work. Nutrients move. Molecules change. Signals pass between cells. The immune system watches. The intestinal lining renews itself. And your body remains quietly alive. There is no need to supervise any of it. You can rest. You can close your eyes. You can allow the night to take over. Breathe in and gently breathe out. Again, slowly, in and out. The room becomes quieter. The body becomes heavier. The thoughts become softer. And somewhere inside you, a tiny ecosystem continues, not sleeping in the human sense, but continuing its ancient rhythm, a rhythm that existed before you, and will continue long after one tiny moment has passed. For now, let yourself drift. The microscopic forest can remain behind the darkness. The chemical signals can fade. The hidden pathways can disappear. And all that remains is the quiet rhythm of breathing, the softness of the bed, the stillness of the night, and the gentle feeling of being carried by a living body that knows how to continue while you sleep. The night has become very still now, and somewhere inside you, the hidden world continues. Let us drift farther into it, not rushing, not searching for anything, simply observing the quiet life that exists beneath your awareness. Imagine the intestine as a long, winding valley. The walls rise gently around you. Tiny folds create sheltered spaces. Fluids move slowly through the landscape, and everywhere, there are microorganisms. Some live close to the intestinal surface. Some float farther away. Others gather in small communities. Each occupies a tiny ecological space, and each responds to the conditions around it. A little more food arrives. One population becomes more active. A nutrient becomes scarce. Another population begins to slow. A molecule appears. A neighboring organism uses it. The environment changes, and the community adjusts. This is happening constantly, not once, not occasionally, but throughout your life. There is something peaceful about such persistence. The microbial world does not become impatient. It does not worry about tomorrow. It simply responds to the present environment. A molecule arrives. It responds. The temperature changes. It responds. A nutrient disappears. It responds. Life at this scale is built from immediate relationships. Now imagine looking at a single microbial cell. It is surrounded by fluid. Its surface separates the inside of the cell from everything outside. Within it, molecules move through an intricate network of reactions. Energy is captured, proteins are assembled, Genetic material is copied. Waste products are released. The cell maintains itself for a little while. Then it divides. One becomes two, two become four, and a new generation begins. Compared with your lifetime, the lives of individual microorganisms can be extraordinarily brief. But the community continues. Generations replace generations. The population persists. This is one of the great patterns of life. Individual lives are temporary, but living systems can continue. Think about a forest. A single leaf falls. Another leaf grows. A branch breaks. A new branch appears. A tree eventually dies. Yet the forest remains. The same idea can be seen in the microbial world. Individual cells come and go, but the ecosystem continues. Your microbiome is therefore not a fixed collection of organisms. It is a moving population. Some members arrive. Some disappear. Some become abundant. Others become rare. The balance changes with circumstances. And still, a recognizable community remains. Now imagine the effect of a simple change. Suppose more plant fiber reaches the large intestine. Certain microbes are able to use it. Their activity increases. They produce metabolic products. The local environment changes. Other microbes respond. Perhaps some benefit. Perhaps others become less competitive. The community shifts. Nothing magical is happening. It is ecology. Resources change, and populations respond. This same principle operates in lakes, forests, grasslands, oceans, and inside the human body. Now imagine a meal arriving like a slow wave. The first part is processed higher in the digestive system. Nutrients are absorbed. The wave continues. Further down, more material remains. The microbial forest receives it. Some organisms begin using what is available. Their activity changes the chemical environment, and another wave follows. Day after day, meal after meal, this process repeats. Your diet becomes part of the ecology of your body. Not every meal has the same effect. Not every person responds in the same way. But over time, food helps shape the environment in which microbial communities live. This is why variety in the diet can matter. Different foods contain different types of carbohydrates, fibers, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, and other compounds. Different microbial organisms can use different resources. A varied environment can therefore support a varied ecosystem. But again, there is no single perfect recipe for every person. The microbiome is individual. The environment is individual, and the science is still developing. Imagine now that you are standing beside a forest. You see many kinds of plants, tall trees, small shrubs, moss, grasses, flowers. You would never expect every plant to survive equally well under every condition. A plant that thrives in deep shade may struggle under intense sunlight. A plant that loves dry soil may suffer beside a flooded river. The same basic ecological principle applies to microbes. Different organisms have different preferences. Different environments create different opportunities. Now let us return to the body. Your skin is dry in some places, moist in others, warm in some regions, cooler in others. Some areas contain more oils. Some encounter sunlight. Others remain covered. Every condition creates a different microbial neighborhood. Imagine the surface of your skin at night. The room is dark. Your body is still. But at microscopic scale, the surface is alive. Tiny organisms occupy the spaces around hair follicles. Others live in areas where oils collect. Some prefer moist environments. Some tolerate dryness. The community is always interacting with the environment. You might never notice this, and that is perfectly natural. The microbial world is too small for ordinary senses. Yet invisibility does not mean inactivity. A forest hidden in darkness is still a forest. A river flowing beneath the ground is still a river. And the microbial world remains alive, even when you cannot see it. Now imagine traveling from the skin toward the mouth. The environment becomes warmer and wetter. Saliva moves gently. Food particles appear. The tongue creates textured surfaces. Teeth provide hard structures. Gums create another habitat. Different microorganisms find different places to live. The mouth is one of the first major microbial environments encountered by food. Every meal passes through it. Every breath brings air. Every sip of water changes the surroundings. And all the while, microbial communities remain present. Some microorganisms form biofilms. These are structured communities in which microbes attach to surfaces and become surrounded by substances they produce. A biofilm can create a protective environment. It can contain multiple species living together. The community becomes more than a collection of isolated cells. It becomes an organized microbial habitat. Imagine a microscopic city growing across a surface. Buildings are not made of stone. They are made of cells and molecules. The streets are fluid channels. Messages are chemical. Resources arrive in waves. Different neighborhoods have different inhabitants, and the entire structure can change over time. Now imagine shrinking even further. A single molecule becomes enormous. A protein looks like a machine. A membrane becomes a vast landscape. The world of ordinary human objects disappears. At this scale, everything is different. And yet, all of these tiny processes are happening inside the same body that is lying quietly in bed. That thought alone can be enough. You do not need to imagine every detail. Just allow yourself to feel the enormous difference between the world you normally experience and the world that exists beneath it. Now let us move back toward the intestine. The microbial forest is waiting. The environment is dark, warm, quiet, and alive. There are molecules being produced that your own cells can use. There are molecules being consumed by other microbes. There are signals moving through the community. There are nutrients being transformed. There are cells being replaced. There is constant activity, yet no noise. This is perhaps the quietest ecosystem you will ever visit. A world full of life, without sound, full of movement, without footsteps, full of communication, without words. And while you imagine it, your breathing may be becoming slower. Your body may feel heavier. The muscles around your eyes may be relaxing. Your thoughts may be drifting. That is exactly where you can let them go. You do not need to hold the story. You do not need to remember the details. Let the words become soft background sounds. Let them move past you, like a slow river. The microbial forest continues. You can leave it there. It does not need you. It will continue through the night. Your heart keeps its rhythm. Your lungs keep moving. Your body maintains its temperature. Your cells continue their work. Your immune system remains quietly alert. and your microbial communities continue their ancient existence. There is something reassuring about the sheer amount of work happening without conscious effort. You can sleep, and your body keeps going. You can dream, and your cells keep working. You can forget about everything, and life continues. So let yourself forget for a while. Forget the clock. Forget tomorrow. Forget the room. Forget the story. Just rest. Breathe in, slowly, and breathe out, gently, again, in and out. The hidden world becomes distant. The microbial forest fades into darkness. The tiny cells become points of light. The molecules become stars. And your entire body becomes a quiet universe. You are resting inside that universe now. Nothing needs to happen. Nothing needs to change. You are simply here, breathing, resting, drifting. And somewhere deep within you, life continues. Quietly, patiently, without interruption. A microscopic world, living beside you, moving through the darkness. While you sleep, let the night carry you now. Let the body become heavy. Let the mind become soft. Let every breath take you a little deeper. In and out, in and out. The hidden world remains, but you can let it disappear from your thoughts. You do not need to visit it anymore tonight. It will still be there tomorrow. For now, you can sleep. Slowly, quietly, peacefully, deeper and deeper into the calm darkness of sleep. The hidden world inside you is still moving quietly. And tonight, we can wander a little farther. Imagine that the microscopic forest has become almost completely dark. There is no sunlight here, no open sky, only the gentle warmth of the body, the soft movement of the intestine, and countless tiny organisms continuing their lives. Among the most interesting inhabitants are microbes that thrive without oxygen. For many parts of the human body, oxygen is essential. You breathe it with every breath. Your blood carries it throughout your tissues. Your cells use it to release energy. But deep inside the large intestine, the environment is very different. Oxygen is extremely limited, and this creates a world where organisms adapted to low oxygen can flourish. It is almost like discovering an underground ecosystem beneath an ordinary city. Above ground, people breathe air. Below ground, different forms of life have learned to survive. Imagine moving slowly through this oxygen-poor landscape. The surroundings are warm. Nutrients drift past. Tiny organisms gather around available resources. Some of them are specialized fermenters. They break down complex carbohydrates. They transform molecules. They release products that other organisms can use. A small community forms around these exchanges. One organism's waste can become another organism's food. This is one of the beautiful patterns of microbial ecology. Waste is not always waste. In an ecosystem, one organism's leftovers may become another organism's opportunity. A leaf falls into a forest. Microbes break it down. The nutrients return to the environment. Plants use them again. The cycle continues. Inside the gut, the same basic principle appears at a microscopic scale. Imagine a carbohydrate molecule arriving in the large intestine. A particular microbe encounters it. The organism begins to break it apart. Energy becomes available. The molecule is transformed. Several products are released. Another microbe uses one of those products. It performs another transformation. A third organism benefits from what remains. The original food has now traveled through several microbial processes. By the end, it may have become molecules that were never present in the original meal. This is called cross-feeding. It sounds simple, but it can create remarkably complex communities. Microorganisms do not always compete directly for the same resources. Sometimes they divide the work. One breaks something down. Another uses the resulting product. Another uses the next product. Together, they can process materials that none of them could handle as efficiently alone. Imagine several small workshops inside a quiet town. One workshop receives raw materials. It processes them and sends part of the result to another workshop. The second transforms it again. Then another receives the new material. No single workshop performs the entire process. The town functions because the workshops interact. Microbial communities can work in surprisingly similar ways. And this means that the diversity of the microbiome matters in an ecological sense. Different organisms bring different capabilities. Some are better at one type of metabolism. Others specialize in another. Together, the community contains a broader range of biochemical possibilities. Now imagine the same forest after a change in weather. The food available becomes different. Some plants grow more quickly. Others become less common. Animals that depend on those plants respond. Predators respond to the animals. The entire food web shifts. The microbiome can experience similar changes. A change in available nutrients can influence microbial populations. And when populations change, the chemical environment can change with them. This is why the microbiome is constantly responding to what enters the body. Food is not simply a source of calories. It also carries a wide variety of chemical compounds. Some are absorbed quickly, some travel farther, some become resources for microorganisms. The microbial community responds to this changing supply. Imagine your meals arriving throughout the day. Morning, a quiet meal. Later, another. Then evening, another wave of nutrients. Each meal creates a temporary change in the ecosystem. The microbial forest responds, then settles, then responds again. This rhythm continues day after day. And now imagine what happens during sleep. No new meal is arriving. The environment becomes relatively quiet. But the microbial world does not stop. There is still material being processed. There are still chemical reactions. There are still populations growing and declining. There is still movement. Your body is resting. But biology never completely switches off. This is one reason sleep can feel so mysterious. You close your eyes. The outside world disappears. Your conscious mind becomes less active. Yet inside, the body continues its work. The heart beats. The lungs exchange gases. The brain cycles through different patterns of activity. Hormones change. Immune processes continue. Cells maintain themselves. And the microbiome remains part of this living system. Imagine that you could look inside the body during the deepest part of the night. You might expect silence. Instead, you would discover activity everywhere. Not loud activity, not dramatic activity, just millions of quiet processes happening simultaneously. A molecule being transported, a cell changing shape, an enzyme performing its work, a microbial population adjusting, a chemical signal being released. Life is full of these invisible movements. And because they happen beneath our senses, we rarely think about them. But tonight, you can, only gently, only for a moment. Now imagine the intestinal wall again. The cells there are constantly renewing. Some cells live for only a short time. Others remain longer. New cells replace older ones. The surface is maintained. It is a living boundary. And nearby, the microbial community continues. The intestine must remain flexible. It must absorb nutrients. It must interact with food. It must tolerate enormous numbers of microorganisms. And it must protect the deeper tissues of the body. This balancing act is one of the great challenges of the digestive system. Imagine a harbor at night. Ships arrive carrying supplies. The harbor allows useful cargo to enter, but the entire coastline is protected. There are gates, walls, patrols, signals. The harbor is open, but not completely unprotected. The intestine has its own biological version of this problem. It must remain open to nutrients, yet maintain barriers. The immune system plays a major role in this environment. Immune cells are distributed throughout the body. Some are positioned within or near the intestinal tissues. They encounter microbial signals. They respond to changes. They help maintain the boundary between the body and the outside world. But the immune system is not simply an army waiting for enemies. It is more like a highly sensitive monitoring network. Most of the time, the system is simply observing. When conditions change, it can respond. The microbiome and immune system therefore exist in a kind of ongoing relationship. The microbial community produces signals. The immune system responds to some of them. The immune environment affects which microbes thrive. The microbes influence the environment around them, and the cycle continues. Imagine two neighboring forests. One influences the other. Animals cross between them. Seeds move in the wind. Water flows from one area to another. Changes in one forest can affect the other. Neither ecosystem is completely isolated. The same idea applies to the microbiome and the tissues of the body. Now let us drift toward another important idea: the difference between presence and function. Scientists can identify a microorganism and discover that it lives in a certain environment. But simply knowing that it is there does not tell us everything it is doing. A microbe may carry many genes. Some may be active, others may not. Its behavior can depend on the environment, its available nutrients, its neighboring organisms, and the signals it receives. So the microbiome is not merely a collection of names. It is a living biochemical system. Scientists want to know not only who is there, but also what are they doing? What are they producing? What are they consuming? How are they interacting? And how does the host respond? These questions are still being explored. Modern DNA sequencing has opened enormous doors. Researchers can study microbial genes without needing to grow every organism in a laboratory. They can examine communities as whole ecosystems. They can compare microbial populations between different environments. They can measure metabolites. They can study microbial activity over time. And each new technique reveals another layer. Imagine opening a door inside a giant library. Behind it, another library, then another, and another. Every answer creates new questions. Every discovery reveals something that was previously hidden. The microbiome is like that. The more we study it, the more complicated it becomes. And that complexity is not something to fear. It is simply a reminder that life is richer than our first explanations. A forest is more complicated than a list of tree species. An ocean is more complicated than a map. And a human body is more complicated than a collection of organs. The microbiome adds another layer to that complexity. Now let yourself drift away from the science for a moment. Imagine the night outside. Perhaps the sky is dark. Perhaps clouds are moving slowly. Perhaps there is a faint breeze. The world seems still. But beneath the ground, roots are growing. Microorganisms are breaking down organic matter. Water is moving through soil. Tiny creatures are active. The planet is alive even when the surface appears quiet. Inside you, the same is true. You may be completely still, but the hidden world is alive. Your body is warm. Your breathing is slow. Your muscles are resting. And inside the digestive system, a microscopic ecosystem continues its quiet cycle. One organism feeds, another transforms, another absorbs, a molecule moves, a cell responds, a population changes. The ecosystem continues. There is no need to watch. There is no need to control. You can simply sleep. Breathe in and slowly breathe out. Let the shoulders relax. Let the forehead soften. Let the jaw become loose. Let the hands rest. The hidden world is doing its work. Your body is carrying you through the night. You can let go. Imagine now that the microbial forest is beneath a soft layer of darkness. The individual organisms disappear. The molecules become distant. The whole ecosystem becomes a faint, peaceful image, a living landscape, quietly glowing beneath your awareness. You are above it, watching, then drifting away. The forest becomes smaller. The intestine becomes smaller. The body becomes smaller. The room returns. The pillow beneath your head. The blanket around you. The quiet air. And now, even the room can fade. There is only breathing. In and out. In and out. Somewhere deep within you, the hidden world continues. But you no longer need to visit it. Let it continue without you. Let the night carry you. Let your thoughts become softer. Let your body become heavier. The microbiome remains quietly alive. The cells remain quietly working. The heart remains quietly beating. And you can simply rest. Nothing to solve. Nothing to remember. Nothing to accomplish. Only sleep. Deeper now. Softer now, quieter now. Let yourself drift into the peaceful darkness, while the hidden world inside you continues its ancient rhythm. Quietly, patiently, through the night, the hidden world of your microbiome is still awake. Quietly changing, quietly adapting, and quietly carrying on while you rest. Imagine now that we are moving through the deepest part of the intestinal ecosystem, a place where the outside world feels very far away. There is no sunlight here, no wind, no open sky, only warmth, moisture, gentle movement, and an enormous community of microscopic life. Some microorganisms are surrounded by nutrients. Others are waiting for new resources to arrive. Some are growing. Some are dividing. Some are disappearing. The community is always changing. And yet, the larger ecosystem continues. This is one of the strange qualities of life. Individual organisms can come and go, while the larger system remains. Imagine a single bacterium dividing. One cell becomes two. The two cells grow. Then they divide again. The process repeats. At first, there is only one, then two, then four, then eight. Soon there is a small population. Each generation carries genetic information from the previous one. Small changes can appear over immense stretches of time. Those changes contribute to evolution. Microbial evolution has been happening for billions of years. Long before humans existed, long before mammals, long before dinosaurs, microorganisms were already adapting to changing environments. They lived in oceans, in soil, around volcanic environments, inside other organisms, on surfaces exposed to sunlight, and in places where oxygen was scarce. The microbial world is ancient beyond imagination. And some of that ancient history lives within you, not as a preserved fossil, but as living organisms. Their descendants continue to evolve. Their populations change. Their genes change. Their relationships change. Life never stops adapting. Imagine traveling backward through time. Your bedroom disappears. The modern world fades. Cities vanish. Agriculture disappears. Human beings become fewer and fewer, until eventually, there are no humans, no cities, no houses, only the ancient earth. Oceans cover much of the planet. Volcanic landscapes rise from the surface. The atmosphere is very different. And everywhere, microbial life is already present. For billions of years, microorganisms shaped the chemistry of Earth. Some produced oxygen, others consumed it. Some transformed minerals, others recycled organic material. They helped create the conditions in which later forms of life could evolve. The history of life is deeply connected to the history of microbes. Now return slowly, back through geological time. Animals appear, forests spread, dinosaurs walk across ancient landscapes, mammals emerge, primates appear, eventually, humans. And throughout all of this, microorganisms remain, living beside every generation. Imagine an ancient human standing beneath the stars. They do not know about bacteria. They do not know about DNA. They do not know about cells. They do not know that their body is home to microscopic ecosystems. But the microbes are there, just as they are in you tonight. This is one of the most humbling parts of microbiome science. Human beings are incredibly complex. We build cities. We create music. We write books. We explore space. We study the smallest particles of matter. And yet, inside every one of us, there are countless living organisms carrying out their own microscopic lives. We are part of a much larger biological world. Now imagine returning to the intestine. The ancient earth disappears. The modern body returns. The microbial forest surrounds you. And perhaps now, it feels a little less mysterious. It is simply another ecosystem, a very intimate one that happens to live within you. The organisms here are surrounded by chemical gradients. Some regions contain more nutrients. Others contain fewer. Some areas are slightly more acidic. Others are different. The availability of oxygen varies. The movement of material creates changing conditions, and the microbial community responds. Imagine a quiet river. Near the surface, the water moves differently. Deeper down, the current changes. Near the banks, different plants grow. In the center, other organisms live. The same river contains many small habitats. The intestine is similar. One long passage, many different environments. This is why the phrase, your microbiome, can sometimes be misleading. There is not just one microbial community. There are many. The microorganisms on your skin are different from those in your mouth. The organisms in your mouth differ from those in your intestine. And even within the intestine, different regions can support different communities. Your body is more like a collection of connected ecosystems than one uniform microbial landscape. Imagine visiting the skin again. The surface is dry in some places, moist in others. Some areas are exposed to sunlight. Others are protected by clothing. Some contain more oils. Some experience constant contact with the outside world. Microbial populations adapt to these different conditions. Now imagine your hands. You touch the world constantly. A cup, a desk, a door, a phone, a plant, another person. Tiny amounts of biological material move between surfaces. Most of it never matters. Some organisms remain only briefly. Others may become temporary residents. The human body is constantly interacting with its environment. This exchange has happened throughout human history. Before soap, before disinfectants, before hospitals, before antibiotics, people lived surrounded by microorganisms. So did animals. So did plants. So did the soil. The microbial world was everywhere. Modern sanitation has changed human life enormously. Clean water has saved countless lives. Food safety has reduced dangerous infections. Medicine has transformed our ability to treat disease. These achievements are extraordinarily important, but they also change the microbial environments in which humans live. Researchers continue to study how these changes relate to the human microbiome. The answers are complex. There is no simple return to an imagined ancient microbial world. Instead, scientists are trying to understand which microbial relationships are important, which are harmless, and which may contribute to disease. Now let that thought drift away. There is no need to solve it tonight. Just notice how complicated the story becomes when we look closely. A microorganism can be harmless in one environment, helpful in another, and potentially harmful under certain conditions. A microbial community can change without causing obvious symptoms. A small ecological shift can sometimes have larger effects, and sometimes, a major change may have surprisingly little visible consequence. Biology is full of uncertainty. That uncertainty is not a weakness. It is simply part of science. When scientists do not know something, they investigate, they test, they compare, they observe, they revise their ideas. The microbiome is still a young field compared with many areas of biology. There is much left to learn. Imagine a vast map of an unexplored continent. Some regions have been carefully surveyed. Others are only outlined. A few areas remain completely unknown. Researchers continue traveling into those regions. The microbiome is something like that. The map is becoming clearer, but many blank spaces remain. And perhaps those blank spaces are comforting. They remind us that the human body still contains mysteries. Even inside something as familiar as yourself, there are worlds that science is only beginning to understand. Now let us return to the quiet forest. Imagine tiny organisms moving through the darkness. One encounters a carbohydrate. Another encounters a protein fragment. Another uses a molecule released by its neighbor. Different organisms follow different paths. The ecosystem changes continuously. Some microorganisms produce short-chain fatty acids. Others transform bile acids. Some influence the local chemical environment. Some interact with immune pathways. Some participate in vitamin-related metabolism. But the exact roles of many organisms remain uncertain. The community is too complex to reduce to a simple list. Think of a city again. You cannot understand a city by studying only one building. You need to understand roads, water, electricity, food, communication, people, businesses, weather, history, the relationships between them. The microbiome is similar. One organism tells only part of the story. The community tells more. The environment tells even more. And then there is you, the host, the landscape, the environment in which the community exists. Your body provides warmth. It provides nutrients. It provides physical spaces. It provides chemical conditions. And it responds to the microorganisms living within it. The relationship is constantly changing. Imagine your body as a peaceful harbor. Tiny ships arrive. Others depart. Cargo is exchanged. Some travelers stay. Others move on. The harbor itself changes with the seasons. The water level shifts. The currents change. New arrivals encounter different conditions. The microbiome is like a harbor full of microscopic travelers, always moving, always adjusting. Now imagine the harbor at midnight. The lights are low. The water is dark. The surface appears still. But beneath it, there is movement. Fish swim. Currents flow. Small organisms drift. Life continues. Your body is much the same. From the outside, you appear completely still. Inside, an entire biological world remains active. You can rest now. You do not need to keep watch. Your body will continue without your attention. Breathe slowly, in and out. Again, in and out. Let the room become softer. Let the sounds around you become distant. Let your thoughts drift like tiny particles through calm water. The microbiome continues. The immune system continues. Your cells continue. Your heart continues. Your breathing continues. And you can simply let go. Imagine the microbial forest becoming dimmer. The tiny organisms become shadows. The chemical signals become distant. The intestinal walls fade. The body becomes quiet. There is nothing left to accomplish tonight. The story can continue another time. For now, you can sleep. And so we continue. The hidden world inside you remains quietly alive, far beneath conscious thought, far beneath the sounds of the room. A microscopic ecosystem is carrying on with its ancient rhythm. Imagine yourself drifting once again into the warm darkness of the intestine. There is no need to hurry. The landscape unfolds slowly, one tiny region at a time. Here, countless microorganisms live close together. Some are using nutrients. Some are producing molecules. Some are attaching themselves to surfaces. Others are moving through the fluid. Every organism occupies a slightly different place. Every place offers different possibilities. And the community changes as those possibilities change. Think of a forest after sunrise. Some plants receive direct light. Others remain beneath the canopy. Some grow beside streams. Others survive on dry slopes. Every plant experiences the same forest differently. The microbial world is similar. One organism may thrive on a certain carbohydrate. Another may prefer a different compound. One may tolerate acidic conditions. Another may prefer something closer to neutral. Their differences create diversity. Diversity can make an ecosystem fascinating because no single organism tells the entire story. Imagine trying to understand a forest by studying only one tree. You might learn about its leaves, its roots, its growth, but you would miss the birds, the insects, the fungi, the soil organisms, the rivers, the surrounding trees, the relationships between them. The microbiome is much the same. A single bacterium is only one piece of a much larger ecological picture. Now imagine that the forest is inside you. You are the landscape. Your food provides resources. Your tissues create habitats. Your immune system influences the environment. Your daily rhythms create changes, and the microbes respond. It is a continuous relationship. One of the most interesting resources available to the microbial community is dietary fiber. Your digestive enzymes cannot completely break down many forms of fiber. Some of it reaches the large intestine. There, certain microorganisms can ferment it. During fermentation, new compounds are created. Among them are short-chain fatty acids. These molecules become part of the chemistry of the gut. Imagine one of these molecules drifting away from the microbe that produced it. It moves through the surrounding fluid. Nearby intestinal cells encounter it. The molecule is taken up. A human cell uses it as part of its own metabolism. Something that began as food for a microbe has now become part of the life of a human cell. This is a quiet connection. Plant, human, microbe, human cell. A chain of life connected by chemistry. Now imagine that chain stretching backward. The plant once absorbed sunlight. Its leaves gathered carbon dioxide. Its roots drew water and minerals from the soil. Microorganisms lived around its roots. The plant grew. A person eventually ate it. The digestive system processed it. Microbes transformed part of it. Human cells used some of the resulting molecules. The entire journey happened without anyone planning it. This is how ecosystems work. Energy moves. Matter moves. Organisms transform what they receive. And the world keeps changing. Now let us think about the microorganisms themselves. They are not all bacteria. The human microbiome includes bacteria, fungi, archaea, and other microscopic life. Viruses are also part of the broader microbial world associated with the human body. Some viruses infect bacteria. These are called bacteriophages. They are tiny biological entities that can influence microbial communities by infecting bacterial cells. Imagine a hidden forest containing not only plants, but also invisible forces that move through the forest. A bacteriophage encounters a bacterial cell. It attaches. Its genetic material enters. The bacterial cell becomes involved in producing new phage particles. Eventually, the cell may break apart. New phages are released, and they can move through the microbial community. This adds another layer to the ecosystem. Bacteria interact with bacteria. Microbes interact with human cells, and viruses interact with microbes. The microbiome is therefore not a simple two-way relationship between humans and bacteria. It is a network of many forms of life. Scientists are still learning how bacteriophages shape microbial communities. They may influence which bacterial populations become abundant. They can transfer genetic material under some circumstances. They may help create changes within microbial ecosystems. The microscopic world becomes more complicated with every layer we discover. And yet, you do not need to follow all of it tonight. Let the details become soft. You are simply floating through a hidden landscape. Imagine the phages as tiny particles moving through the microbial forest. No sound, no light, just movement. The bacterial communities continue. The intestinal cells continue. The immune system continues. And the whole ecosystem remains in motion. Now let us drift toward the boundary between the intestine and the bloodstream. The intestinal lining forms a carefully maintained barrier. Nutrients must cross. Water must cross. Certain molecules must cross. But the body also needs to keep unwanted material from moving freely into deeper tissues. This requires constant maintenance. The cells lining the intestine are connected closely together. They form part of a barrier that separates the contents of the digestive tract from the internal environment. The barrier is not completely sealed. It is selective. It is active. And it is constantly adapting to its surroundings. Imagine a shoreline. The ocean touches the land. Waves arrive constantly. Water moves back and forth. The shoreline remains a boundary, but it is not an unmoving wall. It changes with every wave. The intestinal lining is also a living boundary. The contents of the gut are always moving. The tissue is always responding. Nearby, immune cells are watching. They encounter molecules from food. They encounter microbial products. They encounter signals from damaged or healthy tissues. Their responses depend on context. Again, the body is not simply attacking everything foreign. It is constantly making biological decisions. Some of these decisions happen without conscious awareness. You do not feel an immune cell recognizing a molecular pattern. You do not hear a hormone traveling through the bloodstream. You do not notice a microbial metabolite interacting with a cell. And you do not need to. The body carries on quietly. That is perhaps one of the most comforting things about biology. So much of life does not require conscious control. You can fall asleep, and the body keeps working. You can dream, and the heart keeps beating. You can forget about your digestion, and the intestine keeps moving. You can stop thinking about the microbiome, and the microorganisms continue their lives. Imagine the whole body as a nighttime city. The streets are quiet. Most windows are dark, but underground. Water pipes continue flowing. Electric systems continue operating. Maintenance continues. Signals travel. Machines keep working. The city is resting, but it is not stopped. Your body is like that. And inside that city, the microbiome has its own neighborhoods. The mouth, the skin, the intestine, each with its own inhabitants, each with its own conditions, each changing over time. Now imagine moving from one neighborhood to another. The skin feels dry. The mouth is moist. The stomach is acidic. The large intestine is oxygen poor. Different organisms find different places to live. The body becomes a collection of microbial landscapes. This helps explain why the microbiome is so diverse. There is no single environment. There are many, and each environment creates its own ecological opportunities. Now let us travel back toward the large intestine. The microbial forest appears again. Warm darkness, gentle movement, tiny cells, chemical signals, nutrients, and endless transformation. Imagine that you are looking at a single molecule. It is moving slowly through the fluid. Another molecule approaches. A microbial cell absorbs one. Another remains outside. A human intestinal cell takes up something else. The molecules continue moving. Nothing remains still for long. This is the hidden choreography of life. No music, no stage, no audience, just chemistry. And now, perhaps your own body is becoming heavier. You're breathing slower. Your thoughts less organized. That is perfectly fine. You do not need to remember every detail. Let the story become a distant voice. The hidden world can continue without you watching. Let it. You can rest. Imagine the microbial forest beneath a moonless sky. There is no moon here, but the image is peaceful. Tiny organisms move through the darkness. The intestinal wall gently expands and contracts. Molecules drift. The immune system watches, and your body remains quietly alive. You are part of this ecosystem, not separate from it, but connected to it. You provide the environment. The environment shapes the microbes. The microbes influence the environment, and together, they become part of the larger story of your body. Now breathe slowly, in and out, in and out. Let the shoulders become soft. Let the hands rest. Let the muscles around your eyes relax. Let your thoughts drift away. The microscopic world is still there, but you do not need to visit it anymore. The cells know their work. The organs know their rhythms. The microbes continue their quiet lives. Outside, the night moves slowly across the sky. Inside, your own biological night continues. A heart beating softly, a breath moving gently, a body resting, and beneath it all, a hidden world of microscopic life. Nothing needs to happen now. No more questions. No more effort. Only rest. Breathe in, slowly, and breathe out, gently. Again, in and out. Let the hidden world fade. Let the intestine disappear into darkness. Let the microbial forest become distant. Let the molecules become tiny points of light. And let even those lights disappear. And as the darkness deepens, the hidden world inside you continues its quiet work. You do not need to see it. You do not need to understand it. It is enough to know that beneath the familiar surface of your body, life is constantly moving. Imagine now that we are floating through the large intestine once again. The environment is warm and peaceful. There is almost no oxygen. The microbial forest stretches in every direction. Tiny cells are everywhere. Some are clustered together. Others move freely. Some remain close to the intestinal wall. Others live deeper within the passing material. Each community experiences its own little environment. Now imagine that a new molecule arrives. It is unfamiliar to one organism, but useful to another. The second organism absorbs it. Inside the cell, the molecule is transformed. A different compound appears. It leaves the cell. A neighboring organism encounters it, and the process begins again. This is cross-feeding, a quiet exchange between microorganisms. In a human city, one factory may produce a material another factory needs. The first factory does not exist specifically to help the second. It simply produces something as part of its own work. But the neighboring factory can make use of it. The same principle appears in microbial ecosystems. One organism's metabolic product can become another organism's resource. The community becomes connected through chemistry. And this is why the microbiome can be thought of as a living network, not a collection of isolated organisms, but a web of relationships. If one population changes, other populations may respond. If a nutrient becomes scarce, competition may increase. If a new resource appears, a different group may flourish. If the environment changes, the entire network can shift. Imagine a spider web covered in morning dew. Touch one strand, and the movement travels outward. The web responds as a whole. The microbiome is far more complicated than a spider web, but the image is useful. A change in one part can influence other parts. Now imagine that you are observing this network from above. The individual organisms are too small to distinguish. Instead, you see patterns, dense communities, open spaces, areas where chemical activity is high, areas where it is lower, a constantly changing landscape. And yet, there is no central controller. No tiny brain sits above the forest. No organism gives orders. Each cell simply responds to its surroundings. Together, their responses create larger patterns. This is one of the great themes of biology. Complex systems can emerge from simple interactions. Consider a flock of birds. One bird changes direction. Its neighbors respond. Those neighbors influence others. Suddenly, the entire flock turns. No single bird needs to command the movement. The pattern emerges from local responses. Microbial communities can also produce complex behavior through local interactions. Now let the image become softer. The birds disappear. The flock becomes a cloud. The cloud becomes a faint shape, and the shape becomes darkness. You are still lying quietly in your room. Perhaps your breathing has slowed. Perhaps your body feels warm beneath the blanket. Maybe your thoughts are becoming less precise. That is perfectly fine. You can let them drift. The microbiome is still there, but you do not need to watch it. It can continue without you. Now imagine moving through the digestive system at a different scale. Instead of seeing microorganisms, imagine seeing only molecules, tiny particles moving through fluids. Some are absorbed, some are transformed, some are released, some are carried toward the bloodstream, some remain within the intestine. The entire system becomes a landscape of molecular movement. A molecule produced by a microbe may encounter an intestinal cell. The cell recognizes it. It may respond. The molecule may influence cellular metabolism. It may affect signaling pathways. It may be broken down. It may travel farther. The exact outcome depends on the molecule and the biological context. This is why microbiome research often focuses on metabolites. Microbial organisms may be tiny, but their chemistry can become part of the larger environment. Scientists study these molecules to understand how microbial activity might connect with human physiology. Some pathways are well established, others remain uncertain, and many are still being explored. Imagine a vast network of roads. You can study the cars, but you also need to understand where they are going. The roads, the traffic, the destinations, the connections. The microbiome is similar. Knowing which organisms are present is useful, but knowing what they are doing can be even more revealing. Modern science is beginning to examine both. Who is there? What genes are present? What molecules are being produced? What pathways are active? How do these communities change over time? How do they respond to food, medication, age, environment, illness? The questions are enormous, and the answers are still developing. Now let us travel toward the beginning of life. Not the beginning of life on Earth, but the beginning of a human life. A newborn enters the world. For the first time, the body encounters a vast external microbial environment. Microorganisms begin to colonize different body surfaces. The early microbial community develops. It changes quickly. Food enters. The body grows. The immune system develops. The environment changes. And the microbiome changes along with it. Early life is therefore a period of remarkable microbial development. The community that forms during childhood is influenced by many factors. The environment, feeding, family contact, geography, medication, and countless other details. There is no single identical pathway for every person. Each human begins a somewhat different microbial journey. Imagine a newborn lying quietly. Tiny hands, tiny feet, a body beginning its long journey through life. At the microscopic level, another journey is beginning too. The formation of a microbial community. Over the years, that community changes. Childhood becomes adolescence. Adolescence becomes adulthood. The body changes. The diet changes. The environment changes. The microbial ecosystem changes. And eventually, age brings another transformation. The human body becomes different. Digestion changes. Immune function changes. Daily routines change. The microbial community changes too. The microbiome is therefore not something you acquire once. It is something that develops with you. Imagine watching it as a time lapse. A tiny human becomes a child. The child grows. The landscape changes. New organisms appear. Others disappear. Different foods arrive. Different environments are encountered. The community shifts. Years pass. And the microbial ecosystem continues its own story alongside the human one. This is a remarkable form of companionship. Not conscious companionship, not emotional companionship, but biological coexistence. Two worlds sharing one body. Now let us return to the present. The adult body, the quiet bedroom, the night, the gentle breathing, the hidden ecosystem. Perhaps you have never thought of yourself as a habitat, but biologically, that is one way to understand the body. A habitat with many environments. A habitat that changes. A habitat that protects some organisms. A habitat that excludes others. A habitat that receives nutrients. A habitat that removes waste. And this habitat is constantly moving. Your heart pumps blood. Your lungs expand. Your digestive system contracts. Your muscles shift. Your body temperature changes. Your hormones rise and fall. The microbial environment changes along with these rhythms. Even sleep can influence the broader biological environment. The body follows daily rhythms. Hormones change. Metabolism changes. The digestive system changes its activity. The immune system changes its behavior. And microbial communities can show their own daily patterns. Scientists are still working to understand exactly how these rhythms interact. But the idea is fascinating. The ecosystem inside you may have its own sense of biological time. Imagine the microbial forest at midnight. Then imagine it several hours later. The forest is still there, but it is not exactly the same. Different nutrients are available. Different signals are present. Different populations may be more active. The landscape has shifted slightly. Now imagine the forest at dawn. Light has not entered the intestine, yet the outside world has changed. You may wake. You may move. You may eat breakfast. And a new wave of nutrients will eventually enter the digestive system. The microbial ecosystem will respond. A new cycle begins. Day after day, night after night, the cycle continues. And tonight, you are somewhere in the middle of that ancient rhythm, resting between one day and another. The world outside is quiet. The world inside remains alive. You do not have to do anything. Let the body carry you. Let the bed support you. Let your breathing become gentle. In and out. Slowly. In and out. The hidden forest continues. Tiny organisms move. Molecules change. Cells respond. Signals travel. And the ecosystem remains quietly alive. Now imagine that you are floating upward. The intestine becomes smaller. The body becomes smaller. The room becomes larger around you. The bed appears beneath you. The darkness surrounds everything. From this distance, you are simply a sleeping human being. But beneath that peaceful stillness, an entire biological world continues. You can let that world fade now. You have no responsibility for it tonight. You do not need to monitor it. You do not need to understand it. Your body will continue its work. Let your breathing slow. Let your muscles relax. Let your thoughts become soft. The hidden world remains. Quietly, patiently, deep inside. And as you drift toward sleep, remember only this simple image. A vast microscopic forest, living quietly within you, changing with every meal, every day, every season of life, and continuing through the darkness. While you rest, nothing more is required. No effort, no thought, no destination, only sleep. Soft, deep, peaceful, and slow. The hidden world continues. And you can drift deeper and deeper into the night. And the journey continues deep inside the body, beyond the familiar world of organs and tissues. There is another kind of landscape, a landscape shaped not by mountains or rivers, but by chemistry, by temperature, by moisture, by nutrients, and by the countless relationships between microscopic living things. Imagine that you are floating gently through the darkness of the large intestine. The walls curve around you. The movement is slow. The environment is warm. There is almost no oxygen. And all around you, the microbial forest continues. Tiny organisms are living out their brief lives. Some are consuming nutrients. Some are producing molecules. Some are dividing. Some are disappearing. And all of them are part of a larger community. Now imagine that we slow time down, very slowly, almost completely. Watch one microbial cell. It encounters a nutrient. The molecule touches its outer surface. Transport proteins move it inside. Once inside, a series of chemical reactions begins. Energy is released. Other molecules are created. Some remain inside the cell. Others leave, and the cell continues. There is nothing dramatic about this. No flashing lights. No sound. no movement that the human eye could ever detect. And yet, this tiny process is happening again, and again, and again, across millions of cells. The combined result is an ecosystem alive with chemistry. Now imagine zooming out. One cell becomes thousands. Thousands become millions. The individual organisms disappear from view. What remains is a living pattern, a community, different populations occupying different spaces, different organisms using different resources, different molecules moving through the environment. This is one of the great surprises of the microbiome. The whole can be more interesting than the individual parts. A single bacterium is fascinating, but a community of thousands of different organisms interacting with one another, that is something much larger. Imagine a forest. You cannot understand the forest by studying only one leaf. You need the soil, the roots, the trees, the insects, the fungi, the water, the weather, the relationships between all of them. The microbiome works in much the same way. Now imagine that the forest is inside you. The soil becomes the intestinal environment. The trees become populations of microorganisms. The insects become other microscopic organisms. The streams become channels of fluid. The weather becomes changes in nutrients and chemistry. And you are the landscape itself. Every meal changes the landscape slightly. A new group of nutrients arrives. Some are absorbed. Some continue onward. Some become resources for microorganisms. The community responds. Then the meal is gone. The environment settles until the next meal arrives. Day after day, this cycle continues. It is easy to imagine digestion as a simple process. Food enters. Food is broken down. Nutrients are absorbed. Waste leaves. But the microbiome reveals another layer. Part of digestion is performed by your own cells. Another part depends on microorganisms, and the two systems overlap. Your digestive enzymes cannot break down every substance in food. Some complex carbohydrates resist digestion in the upper digestive tract. These materials can reach the colon. There, microbes may ferment them. The process produces various metabolic products. Some remain within the gut. Some interact with intestinal cells. Some may enter circulation. This means that the food you eat can influence the microbial chemistry of your body, not instantly in one simple way, but through an ecosystem that responds over time. Imagine eating a meal rich in plants. The food contains many different compounds. Some are easily absorbed. Others travel farther. Certain fibers eventually reach the large intestine. There, microbial communities encounter them. Some organisms are especially capable of using those fibers. They begin fermentation. Molecules are transformed. Short-chain fatty acids can be produced. The environment changes. Now imagine another meal. Different ingredients, different proportions, different types of carbohydrates, different amounts of fiber. The material reaching the colon changes. The microbial community experiences a different environment. And again, the ecosystem responds. It is almost like changing the weather in a forest. A little more rain, a little less sunlight. A warmer season, a colder season. The forest does not remain exactly the same. Its inhabitants respond. The microbiome does too. And this helps explain why two people can eat similar foods, yet experience different microbial responses. Their communities are not identical. Their histories are different. Their environments are different. Their genetics are different. Their lifestyles are different. The ecosystem carries its own history. Imagine two forests growing under the same sky. One has deeper soil. The other has more sunlight. One receives more rain. The other experiences longer dry periods. Both may contain similar species, but the balance between them can be different. That is the nature of ecosystems. Your microbiome is similarly personal. It is shaped by the life you have lived, the food you have eaten, the places you have lived, the environments you have encountered, the medicines you have taken, your age, your physiology, and many other influences. Yet it is not fixed. This is important. The microbiome is dynamic. It changes throughout life. Some populations become more abundant. Others become less common. New organisms can appear. Some disappear. The ecosystem remains in motion. Now imagine watching your microbiome over a single year. At the beginning of the year, the community has one particular balance. Then the seasons change. Your foods may change. Your routines may change. Your environment may change. The microbial community shifts. Spring becomes summer. Summer becomes autumn. Autumn becomes winter. And the ecosystem continues adapting. Now imagine watching it over 10 years. The changes become much larger. Different stages of life. Different environments. Different diets. Different experiences. The microbial community has become part of your biological history. And yet, you still feel like yourself. The face in the mirror is familiar. The memories are yours. The voice is yours. The person is continuous. Even though the biology beneath that identity is constantly changing. This is one of the deepest mysteries of being alive. The body changes, yet the self remains recognizable. Cells are replaced. Molecules move. Microbial populations shift. And still, you wake each morning knowing that you are you. Perhaps the microbiome adds another beautiful layer to this mystery. You are not made only of your own human cells. You live alongside other forms of life. Your body is an ecosystem. Your identity emerges from a constantly changing biological landscape. Now let us travel toward the immune system again. Imagine a quiet network spread through the intestinal tissues. Cells are watching. Signals are moving. Chemical information is being exchanged. The immune system is not asleep. Even during the night, it remains active. But it does not attack every microorganism it encounters. That would be impossible. The intestine contains enormous numbers of microbial cells. Instead, the immune system operates through recognition. It responds differently to different signals. It maintains barriers. It regulates inflammation. It communicates with surrounding tissues. And it constantly adjusts to the environment. Imagine a border at night. The border is not closed. People and goods still move, but there are checkpoints, signals, rules, careful monitoring. Most movement is ordinary. Occasionally, something requires attention. The intestinal environment has its own biological version of this. The microbiome lives close to that border, and over evolutionary time, the relationship between microorganisms and host defenses has become deeply interconnected. Microbes can influence immune signals. Immune activity can shape microbial populations. The intestinal environment influences both. This is not a simple friendship. It is not a simple battle. It is something more subtle: coexistence, negotiation, competition, tolerance, defense, adaptation. And perhaps this is how nature often works. The world is not divided neatly into friends and enemies. Living systems exist in relationships. Sometimes those relationships are cooperative, sometimes competitive, sometimes both at once. Imagine two trees in a forest. Their roots may compete for nutrients. Their leaves compete for sunlight. And yet, both trees can exist in the same forest. The ecosystem does not require every relationship to be peaceful. It only requires enough interactions to allow the system to continue. The microbial world is similar. Competition is everywhere, but so is cooperation, and the balance between them creates the community. Now imagine a microbial population becoming smaller. Perhaps its preferred nutrient is temporarily scarce. The population decreases. Another organism finds an opportunity. It grows. Its metabolic products change the environment. A third organism responds. The community shifts again. Nothing has been planned. There is no central manager. The ecosystem simply responds. This is one of the most beautiful principles in biology. Order can emerge from countless small interactions. A complex system can arise without a single mind controlling it. The human body itself is an extraordinary example. Billions of cells, thousands of biochemical pathways, countless signals, and still, a living organism emerges. The microbiome adds another layer to that complexity. Millions upon millions of microscopic organisms, each following its own biological rules, together forming communities that interact with the host. Now let yourself float above the entire scene. The intestine becomes a distant landscape. The microbial forest becomes a faint glow. The human body becomes a larger shape. And beyond it, the sleeping room. Perhaps you can hear the quiet sound of air moving. Perhaps there is a fan nearby. Perhaps rain is touching the roof. Perhaps the night is completely silent. Whatever surrounds you, you can simply rest. The body continues. The heart beats. The lungs breathe. The blood moves. The digestive system works. The immune system watches. The microbiome changes. Nothing requires your conscious attention. You can let go. Imagine now that the entire body is becoming quieter. The organs fade into darkness. The microbial forest fades. The molecules become tiny points of light. Then those points disappear. There is only darkness and breathing. In and out. In and out. Let your body become heavier. Let your thoughts become softer. Let the night become deeper. The hidden world remains inside you, but you do not need to visit it now. It will continue its quiet journey. You can simply drift. There is no destination, no need to remember, no need to understand, only rest. And as you slowly move towards sleep, imagine that the entire microscopic universe inside you is becoming a distant landscape, a silent forest beneath the surface, alive with ancient chemistry, moving through countless generations, carrying on its quiet work. While you sleep, deeper now, softer now, quieter now, let the story fade into the darkness. Let the breathing become gentle. Let the body rest, and allow yourself to drift deeper and deeper into peaceful sleep.